just for one day. We can be heroes just for one day.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Super Sunday here on episode 43. Episode 43 of the APAT Show. So tonight's guests need absolutely no introductions, as they are both APAT heroes, earned over many, many years. Now, Carl and Ian will tell us about their poker journey and much more as they take over the show for the entire evening. We'll be looking at the finale of Squads and the Roller, and we'll have much more fun besides, I'm sure. Okay, I'll be back with Lee, Carl and Ian after this. Lee, we have a couple of absolute heroes on tonight. Talk to me.
Don't we just? I mean, I know it's only been a week since we last did this show, and we've had a little bit of break for a few days. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm just getting quickly back into the habit of things, of what's going on and what's happening. But boy, have we got a couple of absolute APAT legends on the show tonight. Between them, they've got 14 live APAT medals and cashes aplenty. But to be honest, yeah, the bling and the money's all one thing, but they are genuinely absolute APAT legends. So a warm welcome to the show, Carl Pilgrim and Ian Thompson.
Hello.
There we go, in sync. In sync. That's a thing of wondrous beauty. Tell me, guys, how are you both? Carl first. How has your Sunday been, Carl?
Yep, it's been a pretty good Sunday. Been for a nice long walk. Well, I was in my wheelchair. But,
Yeah, just get off easy, don't you? Just get pushed. It's outrageous. I've been for a long walk, he said, Lee.
Dear, oh dear.
And how about you, Tomo? How has your Sunday been?
Yeah, it's been busy. I've been out to work today. I'm doing some Amazon Flex for a few hours, and then came back and to Carl earlier on just to check what we were needing to do. And then the internet went down, Virgin Media, so I thought we weren't going to be here at all. But we're here now. So.
Well, bloody delighted to have you on, guys. And, whatever about the internet, I think we've all had our various 4-letter words for the internet over the last, 12, 13 weeks, however long it's been. Do we know, Lee? Do we know how long it's been?
It's been a while, but it's just become reliant, haven't you? You have become. We were already fairly reliant on technology, but I think the whole lockdown thing has made people appreciate technology even more.
It certainly has.
It has, and we are on. Well, this is week 13 of Squads, so I take that as a fairly good gauge as to where we are in the world.
Absolutely.
At the moment.
Well, listen, guys, we're trying something a bit different tonight. We're trying some new tech, okay? Just for a laugh, shits and giggles, as I think a wise man once said. And we have no idea. It might mean the show falls over at some point, but I have to say, good luck so far. We seem to be away, Lee. So what do we have? Well, if I put that up on screen, you can see me. Who knew? Who knew I was actually here? But it gets even better, because if I hit that button, you can see lovely Lee from Southampton.
It sort of pixelated me, but still, it's still me all the same. But
I think these two lads are far better looking. I have to say, they look like established gents. Well, it sounds like they didn't get their Sunday roast today, so they might be a bit gnarly this evening. We'll have to see.
Well, exactly. We'll see how we play. But of course, we've got poker on the go tonight. And
What have we got, Lee?
Let me give you a run through where we're at. It's a final day of poker squads, which means we've got 123 runners in the.
I think we've got a young person on the screen. They're just running down the line.
Yeah, 123 runners in that, 50 remaining. We're paying top 16. I'll keep you updated on that. But obviously, our first focus of the night, as always on a Sunday now, is the Sunday roller. And we've got 59 started that, $3,000 in the prize pool.
Nice.
We're paying top 8. We've just got into the money, so we're down to 6 now. Top prize there is $975. So
Very nice. I love the Sunday roller. It's nearly $1,000 on offer every Sunday night. And of course, we are in for an exciting finish to squads of that, I am sure. Now, listen, there's lots of you guys out there. So let's see if we can figure out who we've got with us. Tristan Chaplin is there. Tris, who was on with us last week. I think it was last week. The week's merge. Asa is there. Jonathan Edelsheim is passing through. Steve 40 is there. Tony Trips is there. Asa says, yes, the heroes. Evening all. They are indeed heroes. Steve 40 says, we can all be heroes. Okay, I don't think I quite hit that note. Colin McCarthy is with us. Now, Colin, there's a bloke who hit a note or two last week, Lee. So it'll be interesting to see how his night goes. Richard White is there. Davey Blacklaw is there. Rich says, dodgy joke evening. Yeah, I think there could be some dodgy jokes, I have to say. Brian Harland is there. Frank Bailey. Steve J is there. Who else have we got? Simon Lawler is in. Steve 40, he prefers the Lee video. I think what we might do tonight then is we might play to a black backdrop of Lee and maybe leave the poker table off. What do you think, Lee?
The trouble is whenever we cut to my video, it seems to be pixelated, or as you say, it looks like I'm in some sort of nuclear holocaust.
Let's have a quick look.
Yeah,
no,
see,
that
it's
looks
doing
okay.
it again. Really?
That looks
this
okay.
End,
That's
this
not
end
bad.
looks really bad, actually. So.
I mean, there seems to be a shadow that looks slightly suspect behind you. It looks like a ghost beaver. Can I say that?
That's Dorset for you.
Oh, we're going to be laughing tonight, guys. We're going to be playing around with the new tech. So, okay, let's get the poker on. We've also got, just to let you know, we've got Tom Clark in the building. So he's also there. Tristan Chaplin, right? He says tripling to you, Des. So I feel like we may indeed, Lee.
Oh, well, we've got that agreed next time.
Absolutely.
I believe, did we not agree last week when if he's going for a WSOP bracelet this summer, he is going to be known as Triplin? I believe we're
going to call him Triplin because that's the way he plays, Triplin forward. Okay, guys, there's lots of you out there. It's lovely to have you on board for the evening. So I have put a poker table up. We have indeed. If I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but we've hit a final table, have we not? In the roller?
We've hit a final table. We've smashed through the bubble. We're down to 6, actually. So the guys are now all guaranteed $165. I must admit, I'm not kind of familiar with that many of the names remaining. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. But chip leader here is Philip Engels from Germany. He's got 818,000. Paul Hanley from Ireland's got 732,000. Andrew Kerr, 515,000. Then we've got, I'm going to go with Arash.
Oh, that's nasty, Lee. You want to get get that scene too, mate?
He's from Sweden. Phil Baker, 337,000, and Elvis is in the building. Elvis from Germany, short stack. So and as just saying that, Elvis is all in and has hit his ace on the flop,
and he's hitting another one.
Just to be for good measure, he's going to get a double up. So 6-handed, guys. So the usual thing we do here is we pick a runner. So who are you fancying, Carl?
Philip Baker.
Oh, he likes Phil Baker.
Okay. What about yourself, Ian?
Philip Engels.
Philip Engels.
Okay.
Go for the big stack.
Yeah. Wow, it's easy, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you going for then, Des?
Well, Lee, I think I'm going to have to go for Elvis. I mean, how could you not go for Elvis?
If you hadn't, I was going to.
Yeah. I don't know the words. It's a bit before my time, guys. I was a 90s
I will.
child.
I think I'll go Paul Hanley and hope that it's luck of the Irish in tonight and see if they can do it. But good luck to all 6 of them remaining. We'll keep an eye out. But obviously, what we want to also do is have a good old chat with Ian and Carl whilst we're watching this roller final table play out and catch up with them. Now, I think Carl, we've had you on Turbo Millionaire a couple of times, haven't we? I think.
Yes,
you've been pretty good at that, haven't you?
He's
really?
had a win. He's had a win, Lee. He's had a win.
Yeah, I won twice.
Yeah, is your general knowledge and quizzing's pretty good then, yeah?
Yeah, I always had a kind of like interest in general knowledge and quizzes. I've done like 15 to 1 on TV, and
Oh wow!
But yeah, that was one with William G. Stewart, not Sandy Tosvig. So that was quite a few years ago. I used to do pub quizzes in a day when I used to go to the pub. So yeah, I quite enjoyed like quizzes and what have you.
We have a bit of history with APAT when it comes to quiz shows, don't we? Because we had obviously a couple of weeks ago Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
That's right.
That was
Alan.
discussed
Alan was
with
on,
Alan,
wasn't
and obviously Dawn's been on The Chase and had a win on that, hasn't she?
That's right. Yeah, Dawn.
Dawn
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a few. There was a few Blondites who were APAT players. I'm going to include.
They were on
Ticey
Eggheads.
in this. Daniel.
They did it. They
Phillips.
did it. Yeah, they did Eggheads.
That's right. Claire was on there.
Tighty, Dan, and I think it was only Claire and Tighty
it-
that got through to the final round. I think. So.
Yeah, and it was Claire's better half Dan on there as well. So 2 Dan.
Might well have been. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Could
Back
well have
in the
been,
day.
yeah.
So we've had. I'm sure we've had more as well. Tracy Dell, who has played a couple of APATs and is well known amongst the members, has I think been on a few shows as well. I think I remember seeing her on The Chase. So yeah, there we go.
Wasn't the late and great Steve Ball on Pointless? Do I remember correctly? Do you remember Steve?
Oh, really?
Ball?
Okay.
Yeah, he sadly passed away. I believe he was on Pointless quite a few years back, but I could be wrong. But I think I remember.
No.
seeing him
That does sound familiar, actually. So yeah, could well be. Yeah.
Steve 40 says I was on Block. Well, it looks like Blockbuster.
Can I have a peek,
Blockbuster.
please, Bob? Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, okay, what have we got? Are we getting? Oh, it's going to become the Steve 40 show. I can just tell. We're going to have to stop that from happening. We're just going to have to stamp it out. But Des, I am sorry if I missed the Andy Black show. When was it? I can go back. He's on next Tuesday. He's actually on every Tuesday, Steve, between now and episode 50.
Yeah, we got a block booking deal, so it's.
Oh, God. And how about you, Tomo? How is the lovely Pauline?
Yeah, Pauline's great. She
You've
just tried to interrupt the live stream just now.
Has she? Oh, you can't stand for that.
Oh, she did.
You cannot stand for that. I tell you what, you've done really well there. She seems like a really nice woman. How did you manage to get her and keep her? More importantly,
Online.
online. What you got?
Online. Plenty of fish.
Tesco
Plenty of
job
fish.
or
Nah, met her on Plenty of Fish. Oh,
is that a thing?
yeah, Plenty of Fish.
Never heard of it.
The wrong site. I was looking for Grinder, but obviously.
I can't even say to work with you. I can't even say, oh, I'll give that a look. I can't even say that because I'll get in trouble. How about you, Lee? Do you want to give that a look?
It's probably not the sort of site you and I would at this moment in our lives would want to have in our
Well, not if we want to
history.
stay alive. Not if we want to stay alive, Lee. I think it's fair to say. But that's brilliant. Good for you guys. You look
mean
so
you're
good
fishing?
together. Fishing? Oh, I think he was fishing, all right.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fish.
Yeah, so does that mean you're a fish?
Let the banter start.
So one time I actually got a catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl, you wicked.
Somewhere to dangle your maggot, mate.
Oh, steady it. Come on, guys. Now, please. This is a well, it's not quite a family show, but there's no need for that sort of dangle your maggot. Indeed. What the
You
hell?
got Carl Pilgrim on. He'll
Dangle you.
give Laura a run for her money.
Oh, God, I'm going to have to lie down with that thought and that vision in my mind now. I feel
Laura?
somewhat assaulted. Dangle your maggot, Lee. Dangle your maggot.
Oh right, okay.
On Plenty
fine,
of Fish.
Yeah, that's it.
That's fairly much a standard thing, isn't it? I would imagine. So yeah. Well, to be honest, from Carl's daily jokes, to be honest, that's a fairly standard one. Where did they all start, Carl? This kind of posting up kind of dad jokes on Facebook.
Do you know what? I've just got no idea. I thought one day somebody sent me a joke. I thought, oh, that's quite funny. And I thought, I'll share it. And then it kind of took off from there, really. So it's become a daily thing. So, yeah, well, I keep to it now. But people send me
I
jokes,
mean, I blocked you a long time ago, to be honest.
Well,
so,
I don't blame you.
I love his jokes, Lee. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. I think there's probably quite a lot of people out there who enjoy Carl's jokes in the morning, but they're too manly. They're too manly to admit it. I think I have no problem. I particularly liked the joke about the talking duck who walked into the bar and he was a plasterer. I won't go beyond that. I don't want to spoil it, but do search that one out. That was a great joke, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, if you want plenty of fish jokes, just let me know.
Is there a particular site that you use, Carl, for your material, or do you stay up all night writing this yourself?
I think there's a Facebook page I use, but as I say, people send me jokes and I kind of like troll the internet and what have you. So the worse, the better usually. So.
Oh, absolutely. So listen, guys, listen. It would seem, I mean, we didn't even have a show last night because, frankly, we think everybody was out. We think everybody was out in pubs just drinking the country dry after a single day. What's your take on this? So it would now seem that we're gracefully, it might become disgracefully, it might become a little awkward and ugly and what have you, but it seems like we're definitely moving out of the lockdown period. Thoughts, feelings from you both?
I'll let Ian go first.
Go on, you go, Cole. Go on, you go.
Well, as I say, like, I hear that the pubs are reopening and what have you. And
yeah, they have done, I think.
Yeah, but opened yesterday, I think. And I was waiting. Well, at the moment, I'm just waiting for the second wave to come.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't. But what's happened in Spain just recently, I think, was it Leicester? They've got an exclusion zone. So, you know, when people say, I'm dying for a drink, that could be taken, you know, is it, I would say, if somebody wants to go out and have a pint and what have you, is it really that important at the moment? Because I know, personally, I wouldn't want to go anywhere where there's a kind of like group of people congregating and what have you. As of yet, as I say, you know, I'm just overcautious, what with me being in my position, but, you know, let's say if you're fit and healthy, it probably doesn't affect you quite as much as it would affect me. So no, I don't think
it's overcautious, Carl. To be honest,
No.
I mean, I'm fairly much of a similar view to you in that I'm just okay. They might be relaxing different things, but I'm still of the view. Well, I'm going to carry on doing what I've been doing for the last 3 months and keeping well out of the way for people, unless I really need to, come in contact.
As I say, especially because really they haven't found a vaccine for it and what have you. And as I say, that if a second wave does come, do you really want to take the risk of getting caught in the second wave? But, you know, fingers crossed and touch wood, you know, everything tries to get back to as normal as possible, as soon as possible. But, you know, I'm not quite sure it's going to happen quite just yet, but fingers crossed, guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little while longer. And, you know, I don't know if this is, you know, part of a strategy that says, well, you know, at some point or other, we're all going to have to come out and we're all going to, you know, have some sort of impact from it. And, you know, maybe they think the strain has become diluted and maybe less potent. Maybe they think, you know, the first peak is over and therefore hospitals are better positioned. I don't really know what the thinking is, but I tell you what, it's bloody scary what we're seeing in the States right now. You know, I don't know if you've seen any of those American maps, but they're all quite red at the moment, which means peak numbers are being hit right now. And you've still got El Presidente, you know, doing gatherings without social distancing, without masks. You know, the guy is not at all leading by example. It just seems a really strange thing, but inexorably you've got to be careful, Carl. You have no choice. You've got to be careful, right?
Well,
you're in that dangerous category, so you've got to look out for yourself. But it does, what do you think, Tomo? I mean, it does feel like, you know, people are starting to sort of get back in to the norm. Now, I'm sure we're doing that and we're better educated than we were 3 months ago. You know, a lot of people are using masks and a lot of people are trying to maintain distances, and certainly you go into a shop now, there are all sorts of markings to tell you what to do. So we're in a better position as far as that's concerned. But does it worry you a bit, or are you sort of ready to start getting back to normality?
No, I don't think we should be getting ready for that yet. But who knows the real truth? Is it stupidity or is it complacency? What do you want to do? In December, after the countings, I came back and all I had was pneumonia. I was in hospital for quite a while. But, and that was bad enough then. But what these people are going through now with this COVID, and obviously, you know, I had a bit of a...
You've lost family members.
Family-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I just, and Gillingham, where I live now, Medway, I think someone said that's akin to Leicester.
Oh shit!
in
Really?
vis-a-vis where we could be going into another enforced lockdown. But I don't see the point in going into the pub getting smashed out your brains just for the good time. Well, you can get pissed at home if you want to. But why go out and risk everyone else, risk yourself? Just baffles me, really.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. What are your thoughts, Lee? Lee, I'm going to put you back on screen. Remove the the nuclear impact. Well, let's do it. Let's put Lee and Des up on screen. Let's take that off. There we
good.
go.
I don't know what it is about this.
Oh,
It's
look
'cause
at
it's
that.
like, boom,
That's very
boom,
odd.
and
Maybe it's your
there,
light.
that
No, it
clears
must be bandwidth or something.
It's light or bandwidth. I'm not sure.
Well,
which one it is,
I'm
but-
thinking we might as well take advantage of this situation and test a couple of minutes of video here and there, just to see whether it works or whether it throws stuff out.
You crack on. I'm busy trying to catch up with the exits from the from
No.
squads. But
Well, tell me
so-
what about lockdown? What's your thoughts on coming out, Lee?
Yeah, I think it's. Actually, I don't think it's too early because I don't think there's an issue. You've got to get businesses back open and working, but I think the communication and the message that's been sent is far too vague, and it just needs to give people better direction and better guidance on what to do. I think that's the reality of it. We're not helping the public to make the right decisions by giving the kind of wishy-washy response of, yeah, just go and do what you like, and you can pretty much, you can go and start booking holidays now, and don't worry about this and don't worry about that. You've got to be. I think the message should still be very much a case of, before you do anything, think, do I really need to do this?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then do you know what? The decision, you probably shouldn't, just carry on as you are. But yeah, we seem to be giving the message at the moment that actually, yeah, just crack on and do what you like. And I don't think that's the correct way.
So what do you think are the variables? Why, what is driving? What is it totally the economical situation that's driving the decision making?
That's where this has gone now. This is very much gone to, it's all about the economics, getting the economy back working, and putting a message across in a way which basically means, if we get another spike, who'll be to blame. It'll be the public for not following the guidelines.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much just arse covering.
But you're about as knowledgeable on the economy and the impact on individuals, I would say, as anyone that we talk to within APAT, and probably far beyond that. How important is it, in your opinion, to get the country back up and running again?
It's going to be vital, because actually, I mean, I think I said this on the show probably a couple of months ago, that the pandemic and what the effect of the pandemic is nothing. The effect of what will happen to the economy for the next 6-12 months will be more significant. It might not be as many deaths resulting from it, but there is certainly going to be a huge impact to people's lives and well-being on the back of jobs. You're going to see significantly more unemployment at the moment. We're seeing a lot of businesses at the moment struggling, and they're not the ones that can actually switch the tap back on. You're seeing leisure industry, you're seeing entertainment industry really struggling, but they're starting to switch on. There's going to be other areas and other industries where basically they're not going to be able to get back to anything like the norm for a long time to come.
There you go, guys. So this is the decision that I guess the government have. It's trying to lessen the longer term impact on the economy versus the short to medium term impact on health within the country. And frankly, if I'm in Carl's category, I'm that concerns me, right? And I think the government have shown it a human face, but it does feel like we're rushing this back. That's my take. Well, Carl, do you have any understanding of the PM's position in a situation like this, or are you, it's clear cut for me. We should be cautious.
I think it's very tough for him, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, he's got to think what's best for the country and going forward and what have you. But I just think it's totally wrong, and he is rushing it. But I can see his point of view from the economic side of trying to keep the country going, and what have you. So, yeah, it's tough, but I just think it's rushing into it a little bit on a personal side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you and Emma manage then, Carl? I mean, is it you must be in a total lockdown? I mean, I've gone out from time to time. I've been, into stores, but I do it sparingly. I even went to the beach last week, but honestly, there was nobody on it. It was a stony beach.
I'm not in a total lockdown anymore.
Okay.
I think it was the last 3 weeks, we've gone to the park just down the road from us. But we keep our distance, obviously. But I've been to a supermarket once since the lockdown, I think, and that was when we checked that there's hardly anybody in there. But apart from that, we've had there's obviously in most situations we have delivery slots booked for us, so that's quite easy to get the shopping and what have you. But we're easing off. Just say we went for a 3-hour walk today with the dog. And it was quite a few people where we went, but I think if you're sensible and kind of like it is, everybody does the same. When they start walking towards one another, you do actually see like the pattern of the ways people step to the side, and you keep your distance, whatever. Because as I say, it's just common sense, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Although I have to say,
they've never really liked you, Carl. To be honest, that's
probably what it is.
That's really what it is.
Do they have that look of fear?
Run over.
Yeah, run them over. Yeah.
They've got that look of fear in their eyes. Oh shit! What could we get from this guy in the wheelchair?
Exactly,
Better,
Yeah.
He could throw a bag of urine at us or anything. We better just part the waves.
Stay clear of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I have to say,
common sense.
we stopped over. It was like a Ferrari pit stop job in a service station.
That's suggesting you drive a Ferrari, Des. You do realise that, don't you?
I keep making that mistake. I haven't even got the back carpet of a Ferrari, albeit I've been trying for a long time. We stopped off at this service station, and rather worryingly, nobody was wearing a mask. I find that odd. It's so easy to wear them. It's like it's no biggie.
What I thought was interesting yesterday, obviously the media was obviously piling into pubs opening, which is standard thing. They're looking for a story, but it was quite interesting, and they were at a number of pubs in I think Soho and Clapham and a few areas around the country. And this one pub they were in was so it was first thing in the morning. They were opening up, and the staff are all there wearing masks, and they're pouring pints behind the bar wearing a mask and all this and the masks, the plastic masks, all this was going on. And then they kind of filmed later on in the day, well, it's got a bit more rowdy, and you looked, and actually not a single member of staff was wearing a mask.
This is it. This is it.
Come
There was
evening.
nobody in the services.
It felt like it was done for show when we're opening up.
Dear,
and when it got to the evening, when they were having to, obviously serving a lot more people, they just were, and that was on screen. That was being filmed for the kind of 10 o'clock news. So the reality of it is it's not going to happen. I think it is the police commissioner, or I'm not sure what his role is, but he's basically Hampshire or Dorset based, but he's got a national position. He said it's nigh on impossible for drunk people to social distance, and he said it's not a criticism, it's just a reality that actually. They're
about 8 feet.
They're basically incapable of doing it, and to be honest, if anyone that's been out for a night out, that's that's probably going to be the case. So
they need 2 meters in front of them and 8 meters either side of them, don't they?
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, guys, I tell you what, we're down to 4 guys, including my own Elvis, on this final table. Let's have a quick look to see where we're up to. Do you want to talk us through it, guys?
So chip leaders is now Andrew Kerr, closely followed by Luck of the Irish, Paul Hanley. Then we've got the 2 German players left in, Elvis and Philip.
Fantastic.
Go, Philip. Good.
I boxed David Baker then, didn't I?
Great bocking from you, Carl, completely. So with 4 left now, these guys are all guaranteed $270, but $975 up top. So it's a few less runners this week, but actually it's still $3,000 in the prize pool, and it's still always very close to $1,000 up top, which means if you've satellited into this for $5.50, manage to go on and win it. I mean, it's a cracking return, guys, isn't it, for a
it's
Sunday night?
fantastic.
Got a brilliant ROI, isn't it? Yeah. That's like somebody getting into the dusk till dawn for a penny, and winning 100 grand. You know.
No, that's never
no one's
happened.
ever going to do that.
That's never
Nobody's-
happened.
No one's ever doing that. Don't be so crazy.
No,
that just
no.
doesn't happen. That sort of thing.
It's a dream.
Yeah, it feels like a dream. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll we'll watch this guys now and see whether we can. They're quite even stacks actually. Really, the blinds are 10,000, 20,000. So even the short stack here, Philip has got 22 bigs. So he's in absolutely no rush here. It's a nice play. I mean, what's your guys' views? Do you focus a lot on the on kind of the money jumps when you get deep in tournaments, guys, or do you tend to just carry on playing your game and try not to let the cash side of it affect how you play?
Personally, I think it's very important to ladder as you can, but as I say, I edge on the tight side of play anyway, so I'm not going to give my chips away. So if the chance to ladder's there, I will do, but also I don't want to go like blind away to absolutely nothing at all. So I think it comes down to when you get. I'm still quite happy to play with 10 big blinds personally, but as I say, if
Is that kind of your level, without giving too much away to anyone that might play you in the future? But that's kind of your roughly your cut-off point where you'd say, I need to start doing something here.
I've got a lot better. In the past, I could find myself down to 5 big blinds, but obviously, you never stop learning, do you? So I've been told you should never really drop below the 10 big blinds mark. So that's where.
I've watched people. I mean, we've watched a heck of a lot of poker in the last 3 months, and I've watched people nursing 2, 3, 4 big blinds for 20, 30 minutes, and players that I would have kind of thought, wow, I've kind of like they've been playing APAT for forever, and quite happy to just do that.
Yeah, as I say, everybody for their own. As I say, I used to, as I say, get down to the 5 big blind mark, and you hear people say, "Oh, you're never going to win a tournament." I've won tournaments from 2 big blinds, so it's everybody for their own. But
it's that old chip in a chair thing, isn't it? Really? It's,
definitely, definitely. But I don't know what Ian's view is. I think.
Well, I went to a final table Ascot with less than 1 big blind, and I was in the big blind, and I came second. So I've got a silver medal. So
that's quite impressive.
It was quite lucky. People were talking about their hand and forgetting I was involved, and it was one of those where you throw away the cards. So I threw away the cards for the flush because I had a made hand, but the made hand was being beaten. So and they basically gave me the answer I wanted. So I said, "Oh, thanks for that," and I threw for the flush and never looked back.
Just goes to show, doesn't it? It can easily be done. As Philip's all in with Ace 5 here against Elvis's Ace Queen. Elvis is going to be good.
No.
And Philip Engels as Buston with 3-handed, and Elvis is still in the building from the short stack 6-handed.
Tender. Oh yeah, baby. Elvis, it's going to be Elvis's show tonight, guys. I'm telling you.
I think you're right.
He does it. Well, it is with these things. You do get momentum. He's gone from the short stack to 6-handed to the chip leader with 3 players left. It is all about final table momentum, guys, isn't it? It just gets you. Once you get going, it's very difficult to then stop. We've watched some players absolutely crush final tables in the past 3 months. Whether we're getting the cards or not, you just don't know, do you? And unless they, it goes to showdown.
I think when it's your night, it's your night. As I say, sometimes you can do nothing wrong once you get a big stack.
Yeah.
There's other nights when you've got a big stack, and you could be the first out. It's just,
it's whether you get. Sometimes, Carl, it's whether you're getting the right price to draw to your cards you need to hit.
As I say, if it's your night, you can't do nothing wrong. But
I mean, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing playing poker, and I've done all right. So.
no, you do all right, Ian.
Well, how long have you been playing, Ian?
To be honest, since 1999, I started playing. That was on the back of LMP, late night poker.
Yeah.
You'd have been what, about
Uh,
12 then, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I wish.
So I think somebody said it earlier in the thread. He was playing on a ZX Spectrum, I think, Lee. It was back then. Or Commodore 64 or something.
So what? Obviously,
that was-
back in '99. I'm thinking there
That's
really wasn't
1999.
there wasn't really online poker as such. I'm trying to think
No,
whether anything
no.
was even going then. Back it was Pacific, maybe Pacific Poker playing then. Not sure
No,
it probably
party
was.
poker. Party poker was in the 90s early.
Was it?
Yeah, I think they were the first.
Paradise Poker is where I started. That was in the early
Yeah,
90s.
Paradise was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, used to play those Wednesday $30 tournament with all the guys. It was quite good.
I
So
used to
did
play
you
the-
start?
yeah.
But did you start playing live then first, Ian, or online?
I started playing live and I was useless and worse than I am now. But it's quite funny because some of the things you did then, and you see people doing it now, and you've got to think to yourself, well, hold on, they've got to start somewhere, and they'll gradually learn. You want people to get better. I know it sounds a bit stupid. Most of us want people to get better, don't we? So we get the right reads off them, so you can run the right plays. And if they're not playing correctly, you're going to take chips off you sometimes. I know it sounds weird, but that's how it works, isn't it?
Oh, it makes
Yeah,
good
I do
sense.
sometimes think players get it the wrong way round. Is actually that it's better for everybody if everybody learns a bit more in a weird
I know,
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A better standard of
That's-
poker's
yeah.
better for all round, yeah.
Yeah. Well, would you?
Yeah,
Is
no,
that the case? I mean, do you feel that playing in a field which is an absolute minefield because it's a lot of people that are new to the game and maybe just playing some crazy hands and do whatever is actually not as enjoyable as playing in an APAT field, perhaps, where you kind
Definitely.
of it's it'll be a tougher competition, but ultimately you kind of get more bang for your buck if you're a recreational player because you feel like it's more like poker. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's like if you play something like the Sunday Storm and Stars, the first 2 hours.
Fucking hell.
What's
Right.
happened?
Sorry, Andrew just won a game with
Oh, King 4. Oh, yeah, Elvis.
Four King 4.
Yeah, I was going back, like say you play the Sunday Storms and you get all the people who are not quite so good. The first 2 hours or so, I don't enjoy playing the Sunday Storm. But then when the field thins out a bit and you've got the better standard of play, I find it a lot more enjoyable because obviously the people who've got that far know a little bit more about the game. So you
But of
can
course,
get a
it's
better read on
it's the weekly tournament that's kind of like the dream tournament for rec players, isn't it? Really, because it's
That's it.
$11, and it's that one on a Sunday night that you go, well, okay, most people can afford to buy into that, and and obviously it's a decent prize pool. It is kind of trying to live the dream, isn't it? Really, on a Sunday night.
That's the one that
That's
Alan
it.
Horsburgh finished third in. Is that right?
Yes.
For
Yeah, yeah,
$92,000.
No,
What was that, sorry?
I think Alan Horsburgh. I think he finished third in that for 92 grand.
No. He finished.
Oh, the
He
Sunday
finished
Storm.
third.
No.
He finished third in the Sunday Million special.
So it
But
wasn't
he has. I think he might have even won the Storm actually
I think you're
Okay.
thinking of
a
Shug.
few years back.
Oh, maybe it was Shug. Maybe Shug had a
Shug,
big
yeah.
result in it for
Shug.
20.
Shug had a big
Shug,
result in
I
it. Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
hard to keep up. I mean, there've been so many big results for APATers that sometimes we get confused by them all.
And of
It's
course,
interesting.
the summers. Yeah, the summer is still. We're still only going. I mean, there's stuff being announced all the time online, and some really big stuff across all the major sites. I mean, there is just hundreds of millions of dollars being guaranteed in tournaments between now and September. It's just insane.
Yeah, I think, as I say, that they're doing a stadium tour on Poker Stars, and then is it GG Poker's doing the World Series of Poker
That's right.
online as well.
Yeah, and then Party have got the WPT World Online Championships with 100 million guaranteed. Yeah, it's just
crazy.
is it too much? I mean, is there going to be a case that actually, players, there's not going to be enough liquidity, players playing, or enough bankrolls for people to want to play all of this? What do you think?
I'm not sure.
Carry on, yeah.
No, you go, mate.
As I say, right,
Go on. Keep interrupting me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
This is amazing. They interrupt you, but they're so polite about it, Des. I've never known it.
Very nicely.
This is not like
you and I.
This is not like Joe and Laura, is it? This is not like Joe and Laura. I tell you.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Wasn't
that something?
If this was Simon Brooke, oh my God.
I'll tell you what. I don't know, guys. I don't know if you caught Joe and Laura last week. We actually had their video feed, but we couldn't share it. We just couldn't share it.
Oh.
We couldn't share it, Lee, right?
No, but you've kept a copy though, haven't you, Des? Yeah?
I have kept a copy. There's a copy available. $9.99, guys. It's in full HD. I'm talking 1080p. Oh. Lee, I can see you down in Southampton. The light is shining again. It's an amazing thing. Just guys, if you haven't seen this, just
hang on. Ace Queen versus Fives.
No.
Oh, you've taken. I can't believe you just taken away the Ace Queen versus Fives hand. Oh, Elvis has just become an absolute cropper.
Elvis is back in the building.
Holy God!
He's still going, but he's he's absolutely struggling. Yeah, now.
Lee, I have a question for you. I have two questions for you, actually. First of all, Mr. Steve 40 has put turbo, so we need to talk to Steve about that. But we'll come back to that. So a question from Steve: what is happening with the APAT World Championships? And a question from Chris Hyam: any update in the future of the squads, with more and more people having less free time due to going back to work? So two, shall we call them scheduling orientated queries from the members. Can we?
Two perfectly good questions.
These are perfectly good questions. Let's see if we can put you up on screen. We'll put us both up on screen, and we can. There we go. We're back.
Something about the focus on it. And do you know, it's two different cameras. We tested this on another camera the other day, didn't we, Des? It did exactly the same thing. It must be the lighting in this room.
You looked like a werewolf the other day, though. You look fine now.
Oh, it was really bad the other day. It was really, really bad. So, in answer to the two questions, so APAT World Championships, we were going to do it in August, and the same dates that we had for going to Dusk Till Dawn online. But obviously, with what is now, we've just been talking about it now, what is available online now this summer, it will be crazy for us to do that because there's so many other good things on. So basically, we are just pushing that towards later on in the year, but we still have plans to be doing that online, big online schedule aimed at amateur players. And we've got, some exciting stuff in the pipeline for that. We can't say too much more than that at the moment.
We can't say anything about that, guys.
But it's, some exciting stuff. And as for squads, so I'm keeping an eye on it, to be honest, at the moment. We expected the last couple of weeks numbers to drop. We knew that would happen with people going back to work. And we very much knew last night, people were going to be out. So it was, it wasn't great numbers wise. But ultimately, we're still seeing a steady flow across the 7 days of the week.
Yeah. So
I'm not in any major rush to want to change it at the moment. We're still offering the added value as we've always done. And just remember, I've had a couple of people that messaged new players in the past week. I got asked a question the other day, Des. Here's one. He said, "Can you just give me a breakdown of the prize pools, just so I know how much you guys take out?"
Sorry, take out.
And I had to explain we don't. We don't take anything out. Yeah.
Take out. We can take stuff out of the prize pool.
Apparently, players were up for that. So, so I had to explain. We don't take anything out. All we do is add to it. So
we put in
every single night. Every single tournament gets paid out as per normal. We don't take anything out of it at all. And then all we do is add stuff on again. So we're giving away roughly about $750 a week added value to the players.
On top.
Just on top. Yeah, as simple as that. So, so we're going to keep an eye on squads. I don't think we might just tweak a few bits and pieces with it. There's been a suggestion we might move the 6 max PLO on a Tuesday to 8 max. That feels like it might be an appropriate way of doing it. But ultimately, whilst we're still getting 100 or so plus runners in each of the events every night. There's still a demand for it. So as long as the guys, what's interesting is there's not been a single week where I've not registered at least 3 new teams. So every week we're seeing people, new players wanting to come in and play it. So my view is, well, we'll keep it going for the time being, and to do that. And I'll just follow up on Chris's other question regarding mixed games. They've got loads in the pipeline. It's just trying to get everything in. They've now put their schedule out for the World's Online Championships for the WPT for the summer. That's not really got many mixed games. We're the only ones that do a stud game. So Thursday night for a stud game, if you want to do that. We're the only ones that do a weekly heads up on a Tuesday. So we are really pushing to try and get them to do more and more. We'll just keep it as flexible as we can.
I think, Lee, I think it's to our advantage to have our World Championships at the back end of the year. I really do. I think. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think it's all kind of fallen into place quite nicely, I think, for us, really, ultimately. And there's still a lot of crazy stuff going on at the moment. So Steve 40's asking me, please, could I update the PLO championship results? So my response to Steve would be, when did you last go on the website? It was done at about 1 o'clock this morning. Fully up to date for the weekend's results, because he's doing all right and he wants to see himself on the There's nothing wrong with that, Lee. Nothing wrong with that.
You go and get a screenshot, Steve, and make it your Facebook photo. That'll be fine. Not a problem at all.
Fantastic.
Chris, 8 game. We'd love to do an 8 game one day.
8 game.
Yeah, we would love to. We know That's what everyone would like.
And Steve put he put a post up on, I think it was Facebook last night, sort of saying, "Oh, the APAT Show, where is it? I love it. Don't." And to be honest, I guess we've reduced the number of shows that we're doing just in line with, if you like, the general calming of the lockdown. So we've sort of reduced the schedule a bit. I don't think we want to do away with the format. I think we really quite enjoy doing it. And as long as you guys want to hear it, and as long as you show up and take your penance in having to listen to us, then I think we'll continue to do it.
No, last night, my agent contacted me and said that he'd had a number of messages from people asking where the show was last night. So I said, well, yeah, we've used our budget up for July already. So,
but listen, I hadn't heard you can take money out of the prize pool. That's
apparently,
amazing.
Apparently, people do it.
How much can you take out before people notice?
Apparently a reasonable amount, actually.
A reasonable amount?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yes, we don't. I think the confusion was that there are a number of other. Obviously, everyone's moved online, so there's lots of different people doing lots of different things online, and there's loads on Party Poker. So they're all doing different things in the way that they're going about at the moment. Some are I've got it all password protected. Some have got prize pools out because they're offering added value in a different way, and so it's a bit confusing for people if you don't know. We've always been very transparent in that we pay everything out, and we're always very clear about what we're putting as added value on top and get it done for players. So
what I think we should do, Lee, next week, right, for next week's championship event, I think we should take out the silver medal. Take out the silver medal and send it to Carl.
Oh, I was going to say you can't though, because what would Danny Strange do? Because he only seems to win silver medals. So.
Carl and Danny need to speak because Carl wants a silver. That's what he needs to.
Is that all you need, Carl?
Finalize his collection.
Yeah, I'll give silver.
Ian's got a few silvers, hasn't he? Can you not do a deal?
Yeah, I'll give you a silver, Carl.
I've
got a stone here.
Oh, it's fantastic. Listen, I'm going to put the poker back on, guys. We don't want to break glass all over the UK.
I'm hoping we've not lost it because I've not got the table up on my other screen because I'm using the screen you're feeding me, Des. So I'm hoping we've still got 3. Good. Elvis is still in the building. Hurrah! Much rejoicing. But Paul Hanley is now very much the short stack, who was my pick.
Yeah,
luckily
Andrew's in good shape here, isn't he?
Tonight, and Andrew is looking in very, very good shape at the moment. How would you play this now, guys, with these stacks as Paul's all in, and he's going to get called by Elvis, Ace-9 versus Queen-10. Needs to avoid a queen and diamonds and doesn't. Gets there with the queen on the turn and then just takes the diamond on the river just to make absolute sure. So Paul's going to finish in third place for $435, which is Elvis versus Andrew. 2-1 chip lead now is not as good now, really.
No, it's one double up and he's back, isn't he?
Well, it's one double. It flip flops the other way, doesn't it? Really. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
So I'm just keeping an eye on the squads game as well, guys. We're down to 24 in that now. We're paying top 16. So I will, once we've got the conclusion to the roller, I will give you an update on who's in the shout for that.
Fantastic. So, guys,
are we ever going to? Sorry, Des.
shout ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I was thinking. We've spoken in the past about the PLO on the Friday night. Any chance that I know some of the guys would perhaps fancy a
Where's everybody?
PLO 8 championship?
Where's everybody gone, Lee?
What do you mean?
Did we miss the finish of the tournament or what?
Yeah, they've gone.
Well, it was heads up,
Yeah.
so that could quite easily
Andrew,
have just
Andrew
come.
won it.
Yeah, so Andrew won it. Queen 9 versus Ace 5, 5 on the flop, and there was a 9 on the turn, and that was enough. Queen 9 beats Ace 5, so Andrew Kerr takes home the Sunday roll of tonight, $975. Elvis picks up $660. I don't know what he'd say about that, Des, but
He'd say something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. So, and Paul Hanley finishes third for $435. Very well done
nice.
to all of those guys. Lovely payouts again in the Sunday roller, though. That's for sure. So, Carl, you were talking about. Well, I go on, finish your question, but I think I know you're going. But go on.
Yeah, we have the PLA championships on a Friday, and I know some of the guys who enjoyed the PLO 8 were just wondering perhaps shove a PLO 8 in there one weekend for a change, and then have that as a.
Yeah,
as a
no, well, I'm
championship, so-
definitely going to do it. We've just finished week 13 of the championship games. We are going to bring those to a conclusion at the end of week 15 and just do a kind of a kind of close off that series of kind of rankings and leaderboards, because ultimately we've got to, we can't leave it open ended. We originally were hoping we might be able to do something where we'd be able to get some of those players to a kind of the Worlds or something, that if it was still going to be live or if it was going to be online, and the reality is that's not going to be a case. So we're going to do that, but then we will just go again. We're not going to stop doing medal events, but we will just go again on what we do. And I think there's a possibility we could well bring in a PLO 8 championship event. So at around the 16, around the, a little bit more pricey than the $5.50 game at the moment that we have. Because I think that works quite well. It's very difficult to know what people will be prepared to want to play. I mean, the Sunday roller was a bit of not a risk, but it's a $55 tournament at the end of the day. I mean, it's not a small tournament for people to play, but I think it's people have embraced it in the right way, and maybe it's looking at more monthly things where we can have a bigger buy-in, but you've got a chance to get in on the cheap, either through satellites or through a phase structure. Could work. I mean, we could replicate. I think Brian Yates said, "Could we not replicate the Sunday roller, but for Omaha?"
Definitely.
week.
You have some satellites that would always work.
Yeah, so lots of options. It's just a case of making sure whatever we put out is, the time it takes for party poker to set the things up and do everything. We've got to make sure that it's right and it's then well supported. That's the most important thing. But I think, very much taking on board everything that people are saying. Had a number of long conversations with Pete Wigglesworth in the past week about some of his thoughts on what we should be doing. To be honest, I think he just wants me to keep updating his stats for him because he quite likes it. So I think that's what
he's
it
a
is.
stat guy. Yeah,
That is a good plan.
Oh, he's a very, very much a stat guy. So but Pete's been absolutely brilliant in support. We're still getting between 30 and 40 runners for the stud game on a Thursday, week in, week out, which is absolutely fantastic. So that's always good. Yeah. So it's where we're at. So we're down to 22 runners now in the squads game tonight. So we've got a table up now, which we'll keep an eye on, which funnily enough has got, speak of the devil, it has Mr. Wigglesworth on it. Gordon MacArthur on there as well. Vince is on there. Danny Strange, who we mentioned earlier on. Brian Harland. Oliver Dance. That's a new name to me, not one I recognise tonight. But you guys, well, obviously been playing squads on and off, Carl. So I assume you recognise a lot of the players and have got used to playing against these guys, yeah?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm a blue blood player as well as Ian is. And we've got Danny on the table and Gordon, both blue blooders. So we've got Vincent, who's an APAT regular, and Brian, very good player, Brian Harland. So, yeah, there's a table. Obviously, got Peter, of course. So, yeah, there's most of the table I do know.
Yeah, so players are on a break now as it's 5 to the hour.
So what do we do, Lee?
That's flown by for the first hour. So.
How will we while away this 4 or 5 minutes?
Well, you could do some virtual gambling.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's do that. Can we tell the guys that they're up on screen?
Well, there's a picture of them up on screen, so they can.
Oh,
see
you
that,
spoiled! You spoiled the fun.
No,
I wanted to hear the
on.
rustling in the background. Oh, Christ!
They're not that silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got professional guests on here tonight. Yeah.
I better put some clothes on.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's see if we can get the virtual greyhounds.
No, Carl, seriously, don't put. That's the reason. That's the reason we got you on the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Oh, we don't want to see his maggot.
Oh, he's what has he got? He's dragging.
We're back
maggot
to
or-
plenty. We're back to plenty of fish again, are we?
Oh.
Yeah.
Plentyoffish.com, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Right.
There's nothing wrong with plenty of fish.
Oh, I tell you, there's nothing wrong with plenty of fish. So, guys, do you recall?
You're right there.
Do you recall seeing Glenn Lamming's virtual greyhound race some weeks ago?
I missed that one.
You missed that one. Okay, you'll get a chance. Will, did you see it, Ian?
No.
You didn't see Glenn Lamming's virtual greyhound race. Okay. Well, we're going to give you a shot. So if you're looking at your monitor, you're looking at your live stream, in a couple of seconds, a sort of a blue and grey screen will pop up. Tell me when it pops.
Yep, I can see it.
You can see it? Great. Right, Carl, you're going to go first then. So what we have here is a card of, here we go, 6 virtual greyhounds, right? So you can see trap 1 all the way down to trap 6, and you can see the virtual odds on a win or a place, so that is your dog to finish in the top 2, or a show, that is your dog to finish in the top 3. Okay, so obviously all of these dogs quite short odds to finish in the top 3. And then over here, on the right-hand side, you've got form, okay? So you can see their last results, right? So a first, a third, a non-place, a second, a third, a non-place. Their performance level, 40% for the trap 1, and their rating, 3 out of 5. So, Carl, you've got 1,000 virtual euros, right, to bet on a dog.
Just don't tell Emma. Yeah.
Don't tell Emma.
Just keep it quiet. Yeah.
We've already taken this money from your account, okay? So it'll barely hurt. Now you've got to bet on a dog and decide whether you want to go just for a win at higher odds, a place, or a show at lower odds. So what do you fancy? Just looking at the data, what do you fancy?
Oh, it's got to be Ian, hasn't it?
It's got to be Ian. You're going for trap
4.
four.
Trap 4.
Okay, I like it. He's the favourite. Okay, and are you betting on the win, the place, or the show?
Place.
Oh, he's betting on a place. So Ian to finish in the top 2. I like it. So we're going the full 1,000 euros on trap 4, which is Ian, to finish in the top 2. Okay, let's do this.
Ian.
Here we go. Let's get a bit of volume up. Right, trap 4. I can see it, Carl. It's ready for us. I can see the hair, and they're away.
Off and away they go. A level break, 6 on the
Your
outside.
dog's gone straight to the back, Carl.
Comes 2, 3, 5, and 4 as the race up to
Oh,
the first of
dear.
the 4 bends.
Oh, God.
He's
4 and
currently
5
in
just a little bit
5th,
slow
I
at the
think.
bend, and 6 has taken advantage and gone on by 2 lengths to 2. Then comes
Come on,
3,
trap
1,
4.
4,
Come on,
and
Ian.
5. They're racing down the far side, and 6.
No,
has
he's
got
at the back of
full
the field.
stretch
He's sort
and
of
presence
sauntering
from 2.
along.
3's plugging on the inside, but on the home turn, it's 6
Okay,
with a
here we
clear
go. We're in the
lead.
home
3
straight
moves
now.
into
Here he
second
comes.
place, then 1 out battling 2 up towards the finishing line.
Oh!
6 keeps up the gallop to beat 3 with 1 in third. 6-3-1.
I'll tell you what, he hasn't finished in the top 3. I think he's finished last.
He looked
think-
lethargic, if you ask me.
If
I
you look
think
at
he's got to go to the glue factory.
if you look at the end of the video, they've actually taken him into the middle of the field and they've shot him. That's outrageous. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with
Oh,
that dog
come on!
other
I
than he was
draw
slow.
the line there. Yeah.
A greyhound
Yeah.
racing's fixed anyway, so.
They've pulled his pixel. All right, he will not be racing again. So Ian, now you have a chance to beat Carl because you can't but beat 0, right? So there's your card of fixtures. So I can see Peter Pan is in trap 1. Do you see them?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you like? So have a look at the form. Have a look at the ratings.
Right, I'll have 200.
No.
Tracks 1, 2, 3.
You can't do that. You just can't do that.
Nice try.
I'll give you one bet. You can go for a show, though, which means you're a 50-50. You go for a good dog in a show, you'll almost certainly win, right? I mean, it'd be a very conservative approach, but...
Yeah. So we'll go for trap. We'll go trap. What's the lead out? We'll go trap 1. We'll go for a place.
Trap 1 for a place. So Peter Pan to finish in the top 2. Okay, let's get this cash on. And here we go for the win, guys. Tomo needs trap 1.
Cheers, mate.
To finish in the top 2. And he will win 1,780 smackers. Okay, here we go. Trap 1, guys. And they are away.
Here comes the hair round towards the starting
Trap 1 straight into the lead.
And off and away. They break 1 out well on the
It's
inside.
not
3
working
down
out for him on the
centre,
first
6 on
bend.
the near side. All dispute the lead. 2's just behind them, then 5 and 4. But it is 3 with the advantage from 6 as they make their way down to the
We're up
halfway
to
step.
second. I think we're looking pretty good here on and on the inside, Ian.
Great that we got scouts through the commentary.
On the inside, going the shorter way. And then comes 5 as they make their way
I
round
think we're
towards
looking
the
good
straight.
for a top
3
2
still
here.
clinging onto
We're in the
for
lead
1,
in the
then
final
5, 6,
straight.
4 and 2
Oh, we're
into the finishing
cruising.
straight. It's now 3 and 1.
Oh, we
Oh,
cruised
Ian,
to
you
the
should have
win.
gone for the win, Ian. Should have gone for
Cruise to
the
the
win.
win.
Oh.
That was the thing of beauty. So here's the good news. Let it rain. Let it rain cash. 1,780 euros won
Well done, Ian.
in our virtual race by Tomo, who takes the glory, I have to say, in that particular little game. So well done, guys. That was good fun. Peter Pan for the win, eh?
Brilliant.
What you want. Right then, so now we've whilst you've been doing all of that, I can give you some update on the squad. So the story tonight is this: in the team event, APAT Cockers, they're all done. They're in the clubhouse with 798.64 points. They've been leaders most of the week. Shane and the guys had a really, really good effort. However, they can be caught.
Oh.
On the table we're currently watching is one Danny Strange, who's playing for JFS. Danny needs to get roughly 65 points. However, he's already got a lowest score of 30, so he needs to basically get 95 points, which means he needs a top 3 finish. We are 22 players left, so basically a top 3 finish for Danny Strange tonight will get JFS top of the team leaderboard for this week. That is the team story. Are you already bocking that then, Ian? Are you reckon?
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
We'll see how he does. Now, in the MVP, Ryan Pearson from APAT Cockers, that we mentioned earlier on, he's currently top, and he can be caught, though. He can be caught by... let's have a look. He can be caught by Pete Wigglesworth, if Pete is still in.
Oh, wow.
Which I think he is. Yeah. He can be caught by Charlie Cairns, if Charlie Cairns is still in playing tonight.
I've seen Charlie's, and both Charlie and Pete are in the chat box. I know that.
I'm not sure whether... Yeah, Charlie's still in the tournament as well. And I think possibly Vince, if Vince is playing tonight.
Oh, Vince had a ton of chips. He's on...
Yeah, Vince is chip leader.
Yeah, Vince is
He's
chip
on this
leader.
table.
He's on the
Yeah,
table.
so Vince would need to win it. Yeah, Vince would need to win it. Actually, they'd all need to win it. So basically, for MVP, Pete, Charlie, and Vince can all take MVP by winning the tournament tonight.
Wow. Okay. That's a big
There's your
ask.
stories. So it is a big ask with 21 players remaining, but hey, we've been here before, Des.
It happens every week, Lee.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah. So
Okay. So listen, Vince has a ton of chips here. He's got 1.3 million. He's in a pot with 188 in the center as we speak. Pete's just pushed all in on him and taken that pot. But
so we've lost
Vince
Danny from this table, but he's not gone. Don't panic. He's just been moved to a different table.
Well, we can flip between those tables with consummate easily. So if at any point you see a hand going on and you want to flip to it, just say 3, 7, or 9, and we will be there.
Yeah, but obviously at the moment we will watch. We'll keep an eye on Vince and how he's doing. because that's obviously where the focus at the moment. He's chip leader, and if he can win this, as I say, he will win MVP for the week.
Oh, that's cool.
So how have you guys been keeping yourselves entertained over the last few weeks? Obviously playing a bit of poker, that's good. You know, what else? Are you catching up on your Netflix? Are you, doing any online learning, or, the gardening? I mean, what's keeping you busy?
Well, I've been doing Amazon Flex, and I've been watching Pauline Garden.
Yeah, best way I find.
From the deck chair while the weather's been good, but it hasn't been so good the last otherwise. And Netflix, so many. Ozark, fantastic.
Yeah.
What else have I watched? I've been starting to watch this Snowpiercer.
Oh yeah, it's on my on my list to watch. Yeah.
What is that one,
Yeah.
Lee? I just missed what Ian said.
Snowpiercer. So
Snowpiercer. Yes.
So it's the one where they're all on the train.
So I'm confused by this because I was sat with my daughter a couple of nights ago, and we saw the little sort of intro video for Snowpiercer, and she said, "I want to see that." She said, "We've got to watch that." So that's definitely on the list. But I've seen it before. Now I've either seen it or I've read the story. How can this be? What have I seen before? So it was Snowpiercer, and
you can only have read.
I know the entire.
I
must have read it. Who?
Unless somebody did it as a film, and it's now turned into a.
It must have been.
TV
it must have been.
series,
It must have been the book. The book was so visually strong that I can see it in my head. How bizarre! But I'm sure.
What's the storyline again?
So it's this train, right? The train goes round and round and round the world because everything's frozen, and the train can't stop. And the only people alive are the people on the train. And the beautiful thing about it is, it's a totally class-laden society that lives on the train. So at the front of the train, you have the very wealthy. At the back of the train, you have the very, very poor. And in between, you've got all sorts of different levels of social position. And, ultimately, some of the people at the back decide, this isn't fair, and we want to go to the front. That's the story. Very simplistic.
Very good synopsis.
It's great. I really enjoyed it. And it's really bugging me because I think Lee is absolutely right. It has to have been a book that I read. But I can't for the life of me figure why I'm seeing images in my head that were not the images that I saw in the intro video. So I'm a bit, I need to figure it out. I'm a bit confused by it all, really.
So
just had a question in the chat from Jason saying they've got 3 left. Can they climb very much? Well, they're 300 and they're about they're 390 points off the leaders at the moment. But if they've still got 3 left in, possibly they could climb quite far if they could get the 3 of them in the top 3 or 4 positions. So I'm just going to keep an eye on them, guys.
Well, we've got 20 left. I guess when we get down to around 10, it'll become easier to start, modeling that.
Yeah, that one's a bit tricky because they've all got different low scores to know what they need to improve on. So, but yeah, potentially, Jason, with 3 of you still in, very much keep doing what you're doing. Would be my shout.
Absolutely. Listen, the lovely.
Oh,
what was that,
go on,
Carl?
No, it's me. I was going to say, while we're on live, can you tell us, Ez, if you've got any plans for travelling abroad next year with APAT, or what's going on, or is we just going to try and get this whole?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that this will definitely fall over to Tom and Lee, right, to figure that out. But I think we've been happy. Yeah. We've been very happy with the progress of the overseas events. And, that would suggest that for sure we'll go overseas. But I think we'll obviously be keen to do that to ensure that everybody is safe that travels with us. So no firm plans at the moment, but lots of visionary stuff going on, I would say, Ian.
I mean, I can tell you, I'm very keen on us doing a Vegas trip.
Amen.
Very, very keen on us doing a Vegas trip next summer. I mean, one maybe to put out there now and see what people's thoughts are.
Well, I know.
Go on, Ian.
On a personal point, when we're going to Vegas. We're hoping to go to Vegas with Phil TC.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's a reason. But so my question, I guess, that I'd put out there now, and we're interested to know what the community and people think, is if we were to consider offering some sort of, regular tournament for Vegas packages now, would that be of interest to players?
God, yeah, I think that would.
Oh, yeah.
A bit like the LPPL doing their Vegas ticket. I don't know if APAT could do something along that kind of lines as well.
Well, they take that from the prize pool, don't they?
I know. It's quite confusing.
Let me put Lee back up. He's just going to have to. Let's do this. I want to just see his reaction. Here we go.
You really want to see my reaction to it?
There we go. Oh, look, he's gone pale. He's gone pale.
Well, certainly, if we were to do something, it would very be much a case of whatever's in the prize pool would be all going back to the players in the way of packages. So that's very much what we would do. And yeah, I'd be keen on doing something for next summer. I personally want to go to Vegas next summer. I think it's a long enough time ahead for us to do it. So, so why not?
Listen,
if there's interest, let's do it.
We're only going if Elvis agrees. Then, frankly, we're all on the strip to watch Elvis play poker.
Yeah. Sounds
like
good
it.
to me.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Pete Wigglesworth says Vegas 100%. So do let us know, guys. Yeah. That is one of the benefits of having the little show that we have. You get a chance to say, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't like that. Right, so you get a chance to get your voice heard.
But we just need to work out what the best thing would be to do. We've done Vegas packages in the past, and obviously it's making sure that we make it good value for the players, and maybe it's something which we could look to do if we ran, a once a month tournament. Maybe we do it similar style to the Sunday Roller kind of thing, where you can get in on the cheap and have a stack of chips to play with, and we could certainly do at least one package a month, but a decent package.
Decent package.
Flights, accommodation, and buy into something, and we'll have a chat to the guys at Party and see what they think about it as well. And let's look and try and get as many over for Vegas next year for the summer.
Fantastic.
Hashtag Erzy said Vegas package, yes. The only question I have, Lee, right, if we take the Warden of the Northeast to Vegas, right, he's going to be wearing that big woolen coat. He's going to boil, isn't he?
Are we not? But are we leaving ourselves open to attack if there's nobody to protect us in the Northeast? That would be my concern.
He's on the Northeast, so I mean,
it'll be all right. We'll be okay.
We can afford to lose the Northeast, I think.
No, you can't lose the Northeast. But I'm worried because there's going to be a lot of the Northeast.
Well, TC
God,
will
if
be gone,
TC's over there, yeah, exactly.
The wards are probably going to be gone, and maybe you're right. So who would we get attacked by via the Northeast? Probably the Scots.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
The Scots are coming down.
It's a scary thought.
What is that? The A45 or something? I can't remember what the road.
Well, I was thinking it might be the Swedish or something like that. I mean,
I don't think so.
We're big in Sweden these days, so
I'm not sure they want to come over here. I mean, why would you come to?
We're shipping another gold medal over recently again. So
are we? Who's had the? Who's had the?
Emma won. Emma.
She's had two, right?
Yeah, she's had two. Yeah, so second one's on her way to her now. So.
Fantastic.
We're down to 19 in squads, paying top 16. So,
listen, we're getting advice in the data in the chat box from some of the sub analysts. Asa McGrath, the lead sub analyst, is saying, Jason, you need a top three finish. Oh, top three to finish second in the MVP, I assume. So okay, lots of. Lee looks a bit quizzical on that.
No. I think it might be for them to maybe finish second in the team event, possibly. But I don't think they can finish. I didn't think Jason could finish.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure Ace has got some sort of thinking behind that.
Oh yeah, no, could well do.
Hashtag Ask Erzy says that he's part. It's he and Phil, right? They're both their 50th, I think. Already going. Really? Mine in Phil's 50th. So awesome. That would be. I tell you what, that would be a target.
Seriously,
right? That would be a target. We should.
TC and Airsy's 50th in Vegas. I mean, if anybody ever wanted a reason to go to Vegas,
it's like some sort of 70s cop show, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Too good.
The Sweeney is live in Vegas. So I think it could be amazing. And no, he's saying the team
Oh.
event. Team event. So that is top 2 in the team event for Jason if he finishes 3rd. It's all a bit complex.
But the other guys need to finish well as well. It's not just him finishing 3rd. I think it's they've still got 3 in. So yeah, it's
okay. So there's a way to go there yet, Asa, but there's still stuff to play for.
Oh, masses to play for. I mean, the trouble is Vince is normally the one with the secondary spreadsheet going, and he's
But he's
currently chip
busy.
leader. I mean,
He's
what's
busy
going
at the
on
moment.
I mean, yeah,
What sort of level of service is he giving his clients there? Hey,
I mean, Vince. Vince is my official auditor for Poker Squads. He's been very good this week at spotting a couple of typos as we've gone. So,
listen,
Vince is my official auditor. And I don't
Lee,
even have to pay. I don't have to pay him or anything. He just does it for free.
I tell you, Lee, I don't know if you can remember this, but when we ran the first 2 or 3 UK team championships, which, to be honest, it's a pretty straightforward scoring mechanism. But if you screw one position up, the whole result is brought into question. And we were very aware of that, right? There was a lot of pressure. There's particularly a lot of pressure in the room at the moment to give us the update, right? Give us the update now. Somebody's just gone out quick, give us the update. So it doesn't give you a lot of time for sorting tables and stuff can go wrong. But I don't think we've ever been caught out. I think in the many, many years that we've ran it, I think we've been touch wood thus far.
No, we've been
faultless.
spot on.
We've been spot on.
Spot on.
But I remember and I love these guys. I love these guys in Airsey, the plays up there, and Dave Collins, who's a very good mate. The Newcastle boys ran a team event, and I think they ran it like a couple of weeks after maybe our 3rd or 4th UK team champs. And of course, the Newcastle boys would always come, and girls would always come to the UK team event. They always did very, very well. Do you remember one of the lads wearing a horse's head in Manchester?
That was in Manchester, wasn't it?
With the one we won, right? The one
Yeah,
APAT
yeah,
won. It's absolutely fantastic. But they ran the UK teams, and it's very easy to send the invite out, and you get lots of enthusiasm. But bless their cotton socks if the formula didn't go wrong somewhere. And they announced the results, and I think it was the wrong result. And, you beat yourself up over it. These things happen. But the team event, above all other events, is complex to run because of the scoring system and because of the possibility of an errant, formula or an errant sort of entered number, whatever it might be. So fair play to them. They became aware about it quickly. They managed the fallout very, very well. And I haven't heard of any other issues since, and they've ran many of them. But I think we've been lucky, Lee. We've either been lucky, or do you know what?
We've not been lucky.
We do it well.
I was going to say.
It'll be one of those two.
Trust me, it's not luck.
Well, I've been lucky.
Really
I've scored it a couple of times. Believe me, I've been lucky.
I think the decision we made to just move the leaderboard away from where you're typing in the results was the key thing. So it's all done on a separate screen now. Because when I remember being at Dust Till Dawn for the Worlds, where you had everyone over your shoulder whilst you're trying to type in and make sure that you got it all right, and it's not an enjoyable experience.
So as you typing it in, you hear this.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah,
that's what you hear. That's what it's like, guys, when you're typing in the numbers. And then, of course, despite the fact that you're doing it there's a couple of guys at other tables beside you with laptops out, and they're doing the same thing. They are doing the same thing, and they're saying, if Jason finishes 3rd, his team will finish 2nd. And you're going, how do you know that?
Well, I told you the one. I told you the one the other day was when I think it was Peter Monroe messaged me saying after I'd announced the results and sent the stuff off to Party to get the $T sorted, and he messaged me saying, "I think we've won. I think we should have won this." And I had about an hour of going, "Shit, what's going on here?" And then he realised, "Oh no, my mistake. It's only my top 3 scores that count, isn't it?"
So listen, Ian Eyre says, car keys and Butch. That's the 70s cop show. It's car keys and Butch. Lovely. That's TC and Ayresy walking down the strip, giving a bit of attitude. Right, representing the Northeast. Love it. And Steve 40 says, Lee is great. You are great. Very lucky to have you, Lee.
I'd like to give a big shout out, lads, to TC. Helped me get my computer lately. So
did he?
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, no, he's sorted me out.
He is, and I hate to say it because it's a burden to be labelled, but he is one of the nicest guys around, is he not?
by
It's
far.
unbelievable.
Yeah, he is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
have you checked he's not put that keylogger malware on there though, Ian? You know, he's probably tracking every single thing you do now.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
He's got that, and he's got access to your video camera.
I was going to say, you know,
I've been getting all these.
you know when he drops you a message and goes, "Oh, I wouldn't wear that today, Ian." Yeah, yeah.
That's right. That time you were on. What is it? Pieces of fish.
yeah.
Yeah, plenty of fish. There you go.
Yeah.
That time he changed your picture. Pauline thought she was meeting up with this hunk of 34.
Yeah.
He's not far off. I mean, yeah.
Look at that picture. That's a good. That is a good picture, Lee. Is it not? And I feel a bit guilty
very
because
good
I've had to cut Pauline out of the picture, right, to make it look as if Ian feels lovingly about Carl. Okay, I've had to.
As if they know
I've
each
had
other.
to create that look. It's a manufactured thing. But you know,
We've got some lovely pictures, Kev, haven't we, Ian?
I think they look well loved
We've,
up there. I
yeah.
have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as good as the one with you and Duffy.
Oh, what, the wheelchair, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
my
that's
favorite Carl picture that I've got is the one of John Murray feeding you.
Oh, please.
Excuse me.
No.
Was he feeding him from the breast? Is that what he was
the
doing?
most-
Au natural.
Honestly, it was the most
Really?
horrible experience of my life. Actually, being on the ventilator was more enjoyable.
Oh dear.
Oh no, that's bad. That's bad. Don't be fed by John. How? Why? Why was John Murray feeding you, Carl?
I'll let Lee take it over.
I'm not even sure I can remember the reason why. Was it Asper's?
Yeah, it was at Asper's.
Asper's in London?
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we were at the APAT table, weren't we? And I think we had a pizza arrive or something.
Yeah,
like
there
that.
was some food that arrived very late at night, and yeah, I'm not quite sure how
to
it.
Phoebe.
Yeah,
I'll
It was hideous.
tell you what, guys. Now listen, I'm not too proud to say this, but you know, I'm not a massive reality TV fan. There's stuff like the Jungle One and you know, things like Love Island. I've
sorry,
never seen.
the jungle one.
Yeah, you
really?
know the one. You know the one I'm talking about with the two wee lads from the northeast. And I'm not talking about Airsy and TC, right? Although I think that'd be great. I would tune into that, right? Airsy and TC do the jungle. But I have over the years watched Big Brother, and there is a series on at the moment, or you know, some of the best episodes, right? So I you know, in a moment of weakness last week, I tuned into one of them, and it was only the one with George Galloway.
Oh,
The
yeah.
milk.
Yeah, he's been fed like by this slightly older woman.
Rula
That's the one.
Runa Lenska.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of her, but she's feeding him virtual milk from her hands. I think I need to add from her hands for anyone who hasn't seen it. And yeah, it's just that's the picture that came into my mind when Lee, you said that John Murray was feeding Carl, and it's not an image I'm enjoying. I have to say, I want to push
It's
that
not
out now.
nice.
Definitely
That's very old.
not nice. Ooh, yeah, that was very old. So they're showing some of the really old episodes. But
George Galloway's a very good role player. He actually got into it very well.
I'm glad you appreciated his performance. I don't think he was role playing. I think he was in the moment.
Yeah,
I think he was
Yeah,
sort of
you know it.
thinking. I think he was sort of thinking, I'm in here, and you know, well, as we all know, guys, right? We do strange things when we think we're in here, right? We do. Yes, as Steve 40 says, sick, and I think that's probably that's about spot on, indeed. So there we go, guys. So
we're
going hand for hand, are we?
Yeah, we're down to
17,
17
16
players now.
paying
so
16, is it?
Paying 16, yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. Listen, Lee, I'm
Sure
surprised.
is.
This video's working reasonably well. It's not bombed the stream off, and your image only goes a bit nuclear when it's inactive. So when your camera is active, it seems to work just fine, I think.
yeah, I'm just trying to work out Steve 40's PLO points. So Steve, tell me in the chat how many you think you should have, and I'll work out what
We'll work out then what you should have, and we'll take 10 off of that.
Yeah, because I think I've got them all. I think you've scored points in 3. So if you think you've got anything different, let me know.
I think we should get Steve on the video. I think we should get Steve on the video link, and have the discussion live. Are you there, Lee?
I'm cutting out.
no.
No, there seems to be a problem with it.
Let's not
Can you,
do it.
Des, can you hear me? Des,
Oh, I tell you
Des,
what,
can you hear me?
if George Galloway and Rena, whatever her name is, was one of the great Big Brother episodes, then definitely the Steve 40, Turbo Millionaire episode was a great APAT Show episode, I have to say.
Brilliant.
And
Had some good ones.
we're laughing.
Steve
but
40
we're
says,
laughing with you, Steve.
I got loads. So that's just brilliant. Excellent. Well, in which
Loads
case,
of
if you've
points.
got you got loads of loads of points. That's a sort of that's a Trump thing. I've got a beautiful number of points. I've got a really beautiful. It's a beautiful number of points. It's loads
the
of points.
best.
It's brilliant.
Right, it's the best.
It's a beautiful
This
number
is the
of
best
points.
number.
Yeah.
My points numbers
my
are.
points are the best number of points.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just about level with Abraham Lincoln's points number at the same
points.
stage back then.
All right. I'm going to assume it's enough.
Did you
for
hear
Steve.
that?
As Greg Mawson's bust, Ace
Oh,
Queen versus the Ace King of Brian Harland on one of the outer tables,
Nice.
and I think that means
King on
the
the.
bubble is going to burst. So
Did you hear Lee or Ian or Carl? Indeed, Kanye West has entered the race to become president in November.
yes, I read that this morning.
That's not a joke. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, I think Emma told me yesterday. So
What is going on in the States?
He can't do any worse than the president can, can he?
He could be a no-show and not do any worse. In fact, he could be a no-show and do a lot better, I reckon.
But
Yeah,
do you not
I
think
I've
it's
just
just
got myself on the hit list.
do you not think it's just a clever twist, because is it not that he's going to go up against Joe Biden
Could be. Because he is a
and
Trump
he's actually
supporter.
Trump and he's Trump's mate, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, it could absolutely.
Does that not-
absolutely.
is it
that.
not just the biggest con going? Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Well,
does
we're
feel-
going to have to.
in other news, just missed it whilst we were heading for going through hand for hand. Danny Strange has busted 19th.
Charlie Cairns is in a big hand here.
Told ya.
Oh, and we're going to lose Jason. His ace-3 not good enough against an ace-7 of Charlie Cairns. So Jason is out.
As we said, what would happen is we'd lose when we get down to 10. We'll know we're at. But Jason busting now probably finishes off any hope they've got of winning, which means I think pretty much with Danny busting, we can confirm that the winning team this week is going to be APAT Cockers, Shane Pollington, Matt Hubby, Ryan Pearson, and Simon Manning. I don't think they're going to get caught now.
That's a great
Congrats.
result.
So very well done to them. But obviously MVP is up for grabs. And Pete Wigglesworth and Charlie, who we just mentioned, and Vince, all still within a win. We'll get them MVP for the week. So we'll follow those guys now as we're down to 2 tables. So
Yeah, and Samantha Fisi just takes GMAX chips there. So he's gone in 15th.
yeah, and Ace has just confirmed in the chat box. He says thinks the top 2 teams are now confirmed. Well, I would agree with that. So that's where I think we're at.
Tom Clark sitting next to Vince and Kevin O'Donnell. Chaz Kearns.
All right, I'm going to put the poker back
What's the
up,
most
guys.
dangerous thing that's
Yeah, carry
What's the
on.
most frightening thing that's happened to you, Lee, on an APAT schedule?
What
Don't
ske-
say
what
anything
ske-
about spreadsheets.
what schedule? What is in the show, or is in or the actual, or just
Yeah.
in general?
What's the most
Just in
frightening thing that's happened to
APAT
you?
in general.
Like John Murray getting hit on the head, something like that. What's the most frightening thing that's happened to you on an APAT?
Andy Overton kissing me, probably.
Sweet.
Oh,
That's not frightening. That's
No.
quite
Oh,
entertaining.
No, I wouldn't say frightening. It was just unexpected. Should we say?
Oh right, okay.
What
Yeah.
type of kiss was it, Lee? Just
yeah. I was gonna
describe
say,
it.
Was it tongues?
Was it
Oh,
deep
there
or-
were no tongues involved.
There were no tongues. Did he kiss
I
you
think
on the
Andy,
lips?
if Andy had his way, there would have been. But yeah.
You just
I
resisted.
think
You-
I think Mrs. O might have been there as well, actually. So-
Oh, a threesome. Nice. Nice. Caroline, lovely. Andy, Sorry, Andy, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, Erzi is asking, what's the score with third place? Lee Des.
Right. So, because obviously the Hetton Mob are currently in third place.
Oh, Tom
So
Clark's in with Jackson. We're going to lose him. We're going to lose Tom Clark.
Oh my God.
He's gone. Daniel Busson has just busted Tommy Clark, 14th place.
So
poor
so
Tommy.
AAP Cockers have got it one. JFS are currently second. So the Hetton Mob are currently third. Just having to look to see way down before I find anyone who's the Four Nations have still got Samantha Fisi in. She potentially could, she could easily catch up the Hetton Mob. They're only 40 points behind. So Samantha's in with a shout. Pete Wigglesworth with the Lockdown Crew could easily overtake the Hetton Mob. So basically, Ian, you're kind of sat there hoping these guys will all bust quite quickly, but they may have already earned enough points to overtake you anyway. So I would suggest it's looking, it's not looking great that you're going to hang on to third place, but
Wow.
we will see in the next 20 or 30 minutes, I would imagine.
Lee, I've just put you back on screen because I just wanted to get your reaction to this. Steve says, I would tongue Lee Wiltshire XXXXXX. Yeah, he's looking at me. I'm just gonna take him off. Oh my, that burned my eyes. Yeah, I've just taken him off. Steve, I'd say start your run now. Start running now, Steve. He can track you down, Lee can. He's got the technology. Oh dear, oh dear.
Love it.
Did
you see that look, guys? It was like, oh my word.
I mean, it's just getting Shirley Cole on speed dial. Hang on a second. Shirley, send the boys round, please.
That's right. Just send round Steve 40's car number. That's all she needs.
Yeah, we can get that. We can get that resolved. Not a problem at all. Dear, oh dear. What is going on? It's just a weird. Is this because we've not done a show all week and it's just everyone's kind of?
I think it's a bit of that and a bit of the video. The video brings out the strange voyeur in people.
Yeah, I knew it was a bad idea. Do you remember the original meeting we had, Des, where we said let's not do video? Yeah, there was a reason why.
I can't believe 43 episodes in we've broken the rules. I'm not sure what we're thinking.
This is only but this is only a test. Once we know this works, we won't be on video again. It'll just be the guests.
No, this is our test for Robbie, right? Our test for Robbie.
Yeah.
Come on, Lee. We need to sort that out.
Of course it is. Yeah, we do. Very much we do. As Daniel's all in with Queen 10, and he's hit a 10 against the ace 8 of Kevin O'Donnell, and we're going to lose Kevin.
So Frank is asking me, what's the framed team on the wall behind you?
Yours. Is that not just your team tactic, your tic tac board? Yeah,
it's just my tic tac board, my tactics. Right, you can move your team around and pretend you're Pep. Put a bit of pep in your step. And Steve is saying, us Man United supporters should stick together, Lee. But I don't think that's the sort of stick together that you had in mind.
Definitely. No need for that. We're all good.
Because I tell you, Lee, if you start with a deep kissing, I mean, where does it finish? Do you know? Where does it end?
Reach around.
Being fed food.
Yeah, with John Murray. Yeah, that's the trouble with that.
That's right. That's right. You do not want to end up with.
I tell you what, interesting stat I heard this morning, Des, that the United forward three have scored more goals this season than the Liverpool forward three.
To be honest, if you thought that was interesting, I thought the stat that Tyler, the fecker, said on Thursday night last for our pasting over at the Etihad. He said that Liverpool hadn't scored an away goal since February. Now, I know we've had a bit of a pandemic and stuff. I get that. But Christ, for a team that's breaking all of the records, that's a bit of a thing,
is that true? Do you really know? I know. I don't know how many you played, but
I know. But you did go on a run. Games, but
you had gone on a run of losing games and dropping points. Yeah, but
absolutely. Well,
so here's one for you then, Des.
Yeah,
so here's an interesting one. So if you take United's current forward three of Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood, and you take Liverpool's forward three at the moment of Mane, Firmino, and Salah. Yeah. If you could have one or the other for the next 5 years in your team, which would you pick?
Well, I don't think the Liverpool front three is going to last for 5 years. I don't think that would be the plan. I mean, arguably there'll be additions made. I would always have the Liverpool front three over the United front three for this Liverpool team, because I think Firmino plays a role that just doesn't exist anywhere else. He's a bit of a false nine. He's a 10. He's all over the place. And I think
made a massive difference when he came on today.
Yeah, it did. So I think it's quite a creative front three, but we don't score as many goals as we did like back in 2017. So we've gone down the route of having a bit of a solid engine room, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Henderson in the middle. So, solid, protecting the back four. We rely on the front three a lot, which means actually we're not scoring tons and tons of goals at all. I mean, did Tyler say this evening or today that this was our 14th 1-0 win of the campaign?
Yeah, no, he did mention that because it's a record. I think Everton have got the record, and so you're currently on 14th wins by one goal this season.
So
arguably,
arguably Liverpool played better football last season. Arguably, we played even more exciting football the season before, where we lost the European Cup final to Real Madrid. But that European Cup run was sensational, and they really were free-flowing. But if you have the likes of Coutinho, etc., in your midfield, and you have a bit of a shite defence, then you're going to concede a lot of goals. So it's a balancing act, and I think they seem to have found a blooming good balance. But it's a hard-working team, so it's not as pretty on the eye as some of the other teams, but it works.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Whilst I remember, we just lost Kevin O'Donnell in 13th place. If anybody knows Kevin O'Donnell, can you find a way of getting me in contact with him? Because he's actually won a medal, but I can't find him anywhere.
What colour is it?
He's Laura's ex. He's Laura's ex. You remember Kevin?
Oh right, but I can't find him on Facebook, and he's not on our database. I've got no way of getting hold of him. So
okay.
Although I can't find if you know him, or you've got a way of just get me in contact with him on Facebook so I can get an address. Then we can get him his medal. That's all. So I think he might actually have two on due to him. But as I say, I check all of our databases to try and catch up with these players to make sure we can get their medals to them. But if not, we kind of get to a point there's only so much we can do to try and track people down.
Can't the guys at Party just organise that for you, Lee? I know there's, and I'm, but clearly
there's a whole GDPR.
No, I get that, but we can send a medal to.
We could send a request if we needed to. We needed to do that, but we tend to try to take the view that if they're
for sure
that they should be in the community, obviously. Really, and everyone that's won medals, or most people that won medals, have kind of said hello and have tagged themselves in a post or whatever it might be when they've won. But it's always nice to be in the group because it means I can tag them in their virtual medals as well, which is always a nice thing to be able to do. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, I wasn't around today, but I think we're probably due a couple of the real ranking cards or the digital ranking cards, if you like, because we had Lee Mulligan win an event.
Oh, well, Lee Mulligan's a definite one. And I think Adam Phelan probably would be
top 500. If he's top 500, he'll get one of those as well. So I'll look into those later tomorrow evening.
Yeah, Lee won a national, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, one of the early days. Was it the second one?
It was the Welsh, so probably the third, I think.
Third event in season one.
English, UK, and then the Welsh in February in 2007.
Yeah, which feels a long, long time ago now.
But, the Liverpool fans beginning to pipe up in the chat box. Chris Time says Salah couldn't continue that first season strike rate. Nah, in fairness, that was an exceptional strike rate, but he's still good for the odd goal. And what Salah does for Liverpool is he stretches the field, right? They always push him as far up as they can. He pushes the defence back, and that creates space between the lines, I think technically is what they say these days. So, he doesn't always score goals, but he has a role to play. And Don Logan says, good to hear from you, Don. The 34-point gap is a great stat between first and fifth. And I think it is. That's quite a gap. I don't think we'll see a gap like that next season. I have to say, I think Liverpool have slightly punched above their weight this season. I'd still probably make them slight favourites based on consistency for next season. But I think it could be tighter. I think a lot will depend on what City do in summer with regards to recruitment and also what happens with their Champions League position for next year. If they're in, then good-o. And if they're out of the Champions League...
I think with Liverpool, it will be interesting to see whether any of the youngsters are ready to step up, because I do still think you are lightweight in your second 11. If any of your main 11 get injured, it was noticeable today. Yeah. It was noticeable today. It was only when Alden and Jordan Henderson came on and Firmino came on, all of a sudden, you look like you might do something. But up until that point, it was looking. But to be fair, that's the same for United. I mean, I love our starting 11 now, but I'll tell you what, when you look at what's on the bench and what's coming on, none of it makes me think, wow, they're going to make a difference in the game for us. Yeah.
I have no issues with Keita or Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think it's unusual for them both to play as they did today, but I think Keita on the left, Oxlade-Chamberlain on the right. I think either of them can fill in where required in the middle. So I'm less worried about the middle. I think we are a bit light at left back, but definitely the fear is up front. If you lose a Firmino for 3 or 4 games, then I don't like our options there at all. Salah I could take out for 3 or 4 games. You'd put an Oxlade-Chamberlain up there, or maybe Harvey Elliott could come in, but we are light up front. I think definitely a Timo Werner is needed.
We've just lost Pete Wigglesworth in 11th, so unfortunately Pete's not going to be MVP this week. And at the moment, it's not looking like Vince might be. He's now all in with ace-8 against the Kings of Daniel, who's just hitting everything at the moment.
He's
and and we're going to lose Vince as well. So the list of potential MVP winners now is getting shorter and shorter. 188 points up for grabs for top tonight. So let's see who else is left in with a shout now. I think it might just be Charlie Cairns that could still overtake Ryan Pearson. Yeah, I think it's just Charlie. He is the only one left that can win MVP.
He's got an awkward sort of spot here, hasn't he, on this table? He's got a couple of really big stacks ahead of him.
Yeah, and they've just been absolute they've just been steamroller in the table, haven't they? So
do we know Daniel Lee? He has been playing well.
No, I think he's new to squads tonight. I don't recognise the name at all. And we do get lots of new players all the time. So let's have a look.
Is he a dangler? Or is he in a team?
Oh, he's not in the team. Definitely not.
No.
What about you, Des? What's your most frightening experience at APAT?
My most horrible experience?
Yeah,
the thing that has disappointed me the most, I've had very few disappointments at APAT. We've been very fortunate, but we generally have planned well and delivered well, I think, without being, without throwing loads of money at it, because we just simply don't have that to do it. But the one thing that I think that disappointed us the most, and I remember, a lot of people being really upset about this within the management team, as I would call it, was the time we let Carl and some of our other players down in Prague. We chose a venue that didn't have good disabled access. We didn't pick it up. We weren't aware of it. And when the situation became visible that the problem existed, we were pissed off like you couldn't believe. And stuff like that, TK in particular used to take very personally. If we mess up for our disabled players, or if we just let a player down in some way, shape, or form, that is a horrible thing. Not at all to do with any backlash, not at all. But just the fact that we've given somebody a bad experience over a weekend. So that I think was a huge learning experience for us. We were really quite upset about that. But that aside, and I know a lot of APAT members helped out over that weekend, which is absolutely fantastic. But I have to say that episode stands out for me. Apart from that, there have been the odd occasions, like Blackpool, for example, where we've had. I mean, Blackpool was the only example where we had an entire agreed dealer dealt event. Where the dealers were removed very, very late on by Grosvenor. That was a situation that we couldn't do anything about other than.
I don't think I've ever been more frustrated.
What we did
in 14 years of APAT than that weekend. The week building up to it, and the fact that we did absolutely the best we could in the situation. But I don't think I've ever quite felt so helpless in a kind of like there's just nothing we can do about this.
It's no coincidence that we're not with Grosvenor today, for example. So we had a mega falling out with them over that, and they were very embarrassed about it. And obviously they threw some added value back that we had to discuss with them. But those are the two things that come to mind over 14 years. I think we've been very lucky, and we haven't had too many massive scrapes. We haven't made too many mistakes.
But to be fair, that didn't really spoil my experience, because the guys pulled together was just absolutely brilliant. I remember Kevin O'Hanlon. Well, he was just a different class.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah.
It's really weird, isn't it, Carl? Because those two particular things that Des mentioned there are two great examples of where the community just pull together.
Exactly,
and do what needs doing. So as much as they're kind of the most frustrating situations, at the same time they also say everything you need to know about APAT and the people, and which is what makes it what it is.
That's it. Yeah, as I say, the community spirit was something you can't get in another poker tour. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so we've just been playing hand for hand, and we've just lost Carey in 9th place, which means we are going to have a final table here in any second.
Fantastic. We've just been joined by Jack Prime.
Yay!
All the way from Ohio. He's probably sat in the pool on some sort of inflatable as we speak. His iPad poising on his tummy.
I miss Jack and Dawn so much.
Oh, they've been fantastic. Yeah. That's one of the things we did right. Yeah?
Yeah.
What, send them to America?
No, mate. We somehow managed to push those two people together, and that was a fantastic thing. That was a fantastic
I think they'd make a good couple to get on the show, Des, actually. Dawn and Jack.
Would love to get them on.
We have kind of teased the suggestion that maybe we could get them on the show one night.
Get a translator for Dawn, but
if they were up for it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're just playing this little thing on Party at the moment where they keep playing random number of hands, and then all of a sudden, all of a sudden, a final table appears. And as is usually the way, by the time they finish playing these hands, we've already lost another one. And unfortunately, it's Samantha Feces who's gone, which means I will now find out whether she's picked up enough points to move her team into the top three, which is the question that Kevin was asking. So I'll just update Carey's exit and Samantha's. We'll have a look and see. I don't think it's quite going to be enough.
You're getting a thanks, Lee, from Asa. You apparently timed your comment so well as he was having a drink, and he's now a mess.
I'm not even sure which comment that was.
Oh, details, lots of comedy tonight. Another FT for Colin on a Sunday.
Oh, send it into America. That's maybe what it is.
Colin,
so Colin's all in with Queen 8.
Oh, here we go.
And Jack 9 he's up against, and he's going to be good.
Oh, this is his fourth final table in a row on a Sunday. in a row.
Oh,
Well
goodness
done,
me.
Finzi.
Goodness me. Wow. So Samantha Feasey finishes in 8th place. And it's moved the Four Nations ahead of the Hetton mob by 0.67 of a point. 2/3 of a
way.
point
Oh,
into
Already.
3rd place. So the Four Nations are currently in 3rd place now. Wow.
well, unlucky, Erzy. Unlucky, my friend. And unlucky
Unlucky,
to
Mary.
Samantha. Good job on making the final table.
Good scoring. I mean, I can only imagine she'd worked the numbers out and gone, 8th is good. That'll do. Right, I'll get my chips in now.
Right,
Not
come
gonna
on,
catch the
guys.
Yeah.
We've got to pick our winners here.
Well, I'm going for Chaz because I'd like, I don't want anyone else to win the MVP, but it'd be another great story if Chaz could win this. And
Oh, that's good. That's a good pick. Who are you
Right.
after?
From a personal point of view, I think I'd go for Brian Harland with Chaz or Colin as runners up.
Steady on, mate. You only get one pick on this show.
Brian Harland.
There we go. Brian Harland. How about you?
and he's not gone for the chip leader just to be
Right, me
different.
as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, we've got Colin all in, and he gets them back. How about you, the captain?
I'll say within Brian.
Brian,
Fantastic.
got it. Okay. Well, of course, I have to pick Colin. It's like the fourth week in a row, I think.
Yeah, you should sort of do some sort of management deal with him, I think. So definitely.
Well, yeah. Well, I've got the lever. I've got the lever here. Just make sure the camera isn't on when we operate the lever, okay?
Fine.
The lever of doom.
We've had the lever up on the table every other week, but now that the cameras are around, we've had to move it down to the floor.
It's quite funny though, isn't it? Some of the terminology and things that you have when we were playing, when you were playing poker back in the day, and
Doom
the
switch.
stuff on the forum and the doom switch and all the stuff.
Yeah.
That's like,
Absolutely fantastic. I still love to see a thread. There's nothing that fills my heart full of joy, quite like a thread that starts with, right, Poker Stars, stroke, GG, stroke, Party Poker, stroke, Sky Poker, stroke, name your own operator of choice, is rigged. It doesn't get any better than that, because you just know you're going to see a couple of paragraphs of absolute delightful copy for a Sunday morning to just give you that buzz on for the day that there are people worse off in the world than you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to answer Danny Strange's question from a little bit way back, his medals are going out in the post to him this week. Tom's doing a catch-up, and it's my fault for the reason Tom's doing a catch-up. Chaz is all in with 5s against Kevin Duffy's Queen Jack. Hits a 5 on the flop, so he's going to be good
wow.
for a double up. Yeah, so we've just played a catch-up. So there's about 3 weeks worth of medals to go out, and it was my doing completely. So Tom's doing catch-up on that to the post office this week. So they should be all hitting your post boxes or whatever you've got in the coming days.
Well, I tell you what, if your post box is going to be hit by a couple of APAT medals, you're going to need a new post box.
Yeah, they're pretty chunky, aren't they?
They are chunky, I'll tell you what.
I actually
they are
messaged
chunky.
Lee Mulligan today, and he said, "Oh, you still do medals?" I said, "Yeah, we still send the bling out. Don't worry, it's fine." So he was quite excited about that as well from his win on the weekend. So,
Oh, here we go. Kevin Duffy has 2s against the ace-8 of William Shepherd, Mr. Bill Shepherd. Oh, the 2s.
and the
Trip up.
2s are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Lose Bill.
Unlucky, Bill.
Unlucky Bill. I missed that Bill was on the table. And how come I missed that there was a Duffy on the table? Why am I not supporting the Duffy, Lee?
Because you've got Colin McCarthy on the
Well,
table.
it's
and
fair enough.
You're a Thinsey
Colin.
fan, aren't you?
Colin and I.
I still can't get used to this thing where they've changed these names around, that if they're too long, they now
know.
give you the first
Don't
name.
like it.
It's
I
weird.
don't like it, I have to say.
It's far easier to recognise people by surnames than it is by first names. It is a bit of a strange one, I must admit.
Well, Lee,
So Steve 40 says he's available for next weekend. Get him and Casper Berry on the show.
I'm sorry, we can't do that. Both Lee and I are having a haircut.
Yeah.
We're having a haircut, and then we're washing it for as long as it takes, Steve. As long as it takes.
I'm in a queue from tomorrow morning for mine. They reckon it might take about 7 days. So Unfortunately, we do have we're fully booked up for the show for next week already. So already got some great guests lined up for next week. But I just feel for Steve because we've not played Turbo Millionaire. That's who will have to do it. And,
keep saying Turbo. Listen, there is going to be a book. There's going to be a book up for grabs in the very near future, Steve. So keep an eye out for that competition. A poker book, probably signed by the authors, I would imagine.
Hope so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. It's a good. I haven't read it, but the reviews have been very positive. So quite looking forward to that. We will have the author and the book on the show in the coming, I think, is it 2 weeks' time, Lee? Although it's slightly, we'll confirm when we're able to. Soon.
Yeah,
Who's
it will
that?
very
Robert
much be
Dora?
soon.
Can't possibly comment.
Oh, you say that there's been a lot of books out lately. They're not even the best sellers at the best-selling poker book at the moment.
Guys, have you read your Shark Bait, your Rob Needham book yet?
No, actually, it came in the post
No.
yesterday.
Well, okay. Did you?
I won one, didn't I?
You
Yeah.
won one, Carl. So you've got the
Yeah,
signed one.
so-
You got a proper book.
Yeah.
Oh,
signed
dead
one.
gel.
Yeah.
Well, when you read it, put a little review up because I know the author will really appreciate it. And
Will do.
he's a good guy fighting the good fight, and I like that.
Yeah, good stuff.
A new addition to the
And
Blue
is it-
Blood team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Blue Bloodder.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, seriously, too many of these blue blooders on. Honestly.
Don't worry, Lee. Don't
It's
worry. I've got a plan.
ridiculous.
I've got a plan.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it'll be fine. It's like a
It
giant
used to be.
trapdoor.
We only used Des. It used to be back in the day. We only needed to worry about that BCPC lot.
Oh, don't
now
shh,
it's
shh,
just-
don't mention the name, right?
Yeah,
Just in case
got
Google rankings, they put us back in there with BCPC.
Yeah.
Don't mention the name.
That was sad, wasn't it, about the new Talbot?
Yeah, that was sad about the new Talbot. I hear you could get a bloomin' good plate of food in there, in addition to a great night of poker. So that is very sad. But I'm sure
I think
the
the
guys.
sad thing is, Ian. I think it's probably going to be that. I mean, that's come before quite. Not that far into lockdown, and sadly, I think it'll be the first of many.
Yeah,
Interestingly, I know we made a big
Yeah.
comment about pubs opening up yesterday and whatever, but actually, if you see the sort of numbers, they reckon over a third of the pubs didn't open at the weekend. Because at the moment they're just not quite sure how they want to open, or they're not sure whether they can actually get the volumes through the door to justify being open. I mean, it's a horrible position for a number of these businesses because they rely on volume, and they've got certain fixed costs that you can't do a huge amount about. So if they're not going to get some help and support, it's going to be really, really difficult, and it has a massive knock-on effect. I mean, it ripples down through the supply chain. You take something like all those venues have got music licenses to be able to play, music, either be live or through the speaker system or whatever it be. And of course, all of that money filters down to the artists and whatever in different ways.
They buy their food right locally, and it's a nightmare.
So many different ways that these things, these pubs not being open. Maybe it's long term. It'll be better for the for the country as a whole if maybe we haven't got as many pubs. Maybe not quite as much of a pub culture wouldn't be a bad thing from a health point of view. I don't know, but the reality of it is I think a lot of people have been drinking just as much when the pubs have been shut. They've just been doing it at home or in the parks or whatever for the past 3 months. So
I don't know about you, but I've been lying in the park with a wine in a brown paper bag, just whiling away my time between APAT shows.
Nothing if not classy, yeah. So,
Hey, who are you calling classy? He was like, that was a £4 bottle of wine, right?
Well, I was going to say, yeah. I only get the screw tops. Yeah, I only get the screw tops. It could be worse. You could have said it was a box of wine. Yeah.
Oh, please, with a little tap on the end. Oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh
Could be
yes.
Buckfast.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Buckfast. That's the one.
Have we? Is that officially the bottom of the sort of the ladder of wine drinking?
That's the Scottish monks. That's the Scottish monks, isn't it? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, not the Scottish monks.
Scottish monks.
Yes.
How have we got on to?
No.
Now I want to talk about Tony Trippier and that religion discussion that we had. You guys don't listen to this show. You won't have heard that either. Did you hear Tony Trips and his backstory on religion?
No, but now I'm going to go and look at it.
You've got to do it, guys.
Ian, go and have a listen to Des and Tony talk religion for 10
it was
minutes.
great.
It was quite impressive.
So you go to the Tony Trips episode. It's out there, and an hour and 9 minutes in, right? An hour and 9 minutes, and about 25 seconds in, we have this little discussion about religion, and it was fascinating for me because I hadn't been aware of Tony's background, and it was absolutely fabulous, really interesting.
So Chaz says El Dorado is the worst, apparently.
Oh, there you go, guys. That apparently is, and we apologize in advance if you like this stuff, but apparently
I thought that was just some
bucket.
I thought that was just some dodgy BBC soap in Spain that didn't do very well.
It's not that they didn't get a second series. I don't think they got a second episode.
I think isn't the set still there or something? It's just never been used.
Is the set still there? Yeah. Oh God! How many tourists?
Well, to be honest, we might be sending everybody there on holiday. That could be what the actual plan is now. As Chaz is all in, so it's a massive raise from Daniel. Chaz is all in. Spiridin from Greece is all in as well. Daniel's decided to fold. Ace King against eights. Oh, what a horrible!
And an 8. Oh my word!
Dear, oh dear, Chaz.
Wow,
that's unfortunate. You've hit top pair, but come up against middle set, and that's it. We're going to lose, Chaz.
Nice hand, Spiridin, and that's got to change some things, Lee. Does it not? Confirm some things, maybe.
That pretty much, I think, ties up the MVP for the week. I think now with Charlie finishing, I don't think anybody else. I'll just double check whether anyone else can catch Ryan Pearson, who was from APAT Cockers. I think he is now pretty much guaranteed his MVP for the week. Yep, can't be caught. So very well done to him.
Charlie, despite his exit, it's not all bad because he's got a bottle of Buckfast chilling.
Excellent. That's
you go
all right,
for it,
then.
Charlie, with our apologies.
And I think that's probably also going to mean Stuart Griffiths is tied up in. Stuart's been playing really. He's not in a squad. Somebody needs to snap up Stuart Griffiths. He's finished second in the MVP and has been consistent for weeks and weeks now. Asa, I think, is going to end up third in the MVP with Daniel Weaver in fourth and Nye Venables in fifth. But we will confirm all of that once this finishes playing out. But the guys are pretty much here just playing for the cash with $150 up top.
Absolutely, still an APAT event, a standalone APAT event. You'd want to win this, so I'm sure they're all looking for the win here.
So I've got Steve 40 messaging me, desperate to get booked on the show.
I'm afraid we can't do it. We can't do it. It's So the technical issues would be huge. I'm sure they would. What do you reckon, Lee? It'd be like doing the show ourselves, just the two of us.
It would be very much like that.
We couldn't have that. We couldn't have that. And he'd be calling me Les all of the time. I mean, I'm not sure my ego.
To be honest, it's because he's called you Les for so many weeks now.
I can't do it. It's slightly disrespectful, that I thought.
So Ryan Pearson is in the chat. This week's MVP for the week. Very well done to you,
well
Ryan.
Well done, Ryan.
Well played. And obviously,
Ryan.
obviously also part of the winning team as well.
Oh,
so
he's done the double, Lee.
Cracking week. It's very rare does the double get done.
It hasn't happened a lot, has it?
No, it doesn't happen very often that MVP is also part of the winning team. So very well done, Ryan. Impressive week from you.
Good job, fella.
Well played, sir.
I would say put a bottle of Buckfast on ice and celebrate. Celebrate in the park.
Are you able to can you pop open a bottle of Buckfast? Or does that work or not? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you screw cap it open.
Chaz will know whether it's doable or not. Yeah.
Celebrate in the park. Get a gathering around you. Maybe a guitar as well. A little bit of Well, what would you sing if you were?
It's
a
nice
Drinky
to
Bucks fan?
see in the chat all the guys that have been trying to chase Ryan down all week. Asa and Chaz all saying well done to him as well. That's great. That's what it's nice to see. Everybody supportive of each other. And if it's not your week this week, it might be next week. You never know. So your boy's been playing a bit of squads games then, Carl?
Yeah, Alex just taken up poker for the last 6 months. Yeah.
How's he
quite
finding
enjoying
it?
Yeah, well, he works nights sometimes, so he doesn't get the chance to play as much as he'd like to. But yeah, he's really enjoying it. So he's can't wait to actually come to a live APAT event and play. He came to Blackpool for the team event for a spectator's point of view, but he now wants to actually come and have a game. So
Excellent.
yeah, he's really.
So have
really
you
taken it up.
kind of coached him? Have you got him up to speed, or has he picked up poker from the amount from you playing over the years, or how's it worked?
No, I think he had the lads round and they had their poker evenings. But then he said, I introduced him to the APAT. I said, look, you want to perhaps kind of like enter a team in the squads? And he goes, well, I don't think I'm good enough. And so, well, it's a learning curve. You've got to start somewhere. So obviously we're on Messenger and what have you, and I can't give him a little bit of advice here and there, but he's picking it up and he's really enjoying it.
And you've now joined his team, I noticed.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Well, I was to say, I did start off, I played every night of the week for the first 5 or 6 weeks, and to be fair, it's not really fair on Emma and the kids and whatever, so I said I was going to knock it down to 2 to 3 nights a week.
That's Emma. Emma's just said, Carl, I need you now.
Yeah.
He's doing all our housekeeping.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I joined his team, so
That's
obviously
good.
we can only play a few nights a week.
Yeah.
So,
But
What's
that's
his
the
team
ideal. That's the ideal point of it, isn't it? Really. Yeah.
yeah.
What's
As I say, Big Stack Energy.
Okay.
Big Stack Energy.
Big Stack Energy. Very
Yeah.
good. Sponsored by LucasAid.
Yeah, you thought so, wouldn't you? Yeah.
That's
But
good.
he's enjoying it.
Nice to see the new players coming through, and it'll be really interesting to see what our game looks like in 5 years or 10 years. Or it has changed so much over the years. The fundamentals are the same, of course, but style of play quite a different thing. And
Oh,
it feels
gotcha,
feels
definitely.
like we're going through a period of change again. So it'll be interesting to see
It's
what.
definitely got harder.
Oh, it has got harder, yeah.
So when I started in 1990s on Paradise Poker,
Yeah.
so it's so much different to, I suppose, when then the poker boom really took off. It's so much harder. So
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough now. It's tough. It's
Unlucky,
very
Carl.
tough.
We lose
Sorry,
Colin
Tommy?
in. We lose Colin in 5th
Yeah.
place. 10s against Queen 7, and there was a Queen on the turn. So
I have a good run on 4 in a row, Carl. That is pretty darn impressive.
very impressive.
So we are down 2-4. So how's Emma been coping with lockdown then, Carl? Because obviously, we Emma, for anyone that doesn't know, if you ever see Carl at a poker tournament, Emma's the one that's got a gin in one hand and a book in the other hand, sat somewhere in the
Yeah.
casino. Yeah.
Yeah, she's coping fine. Yeah, she's, as I say, stir crazy and climb the walls to get out a bit. But she's a hardy one, Emma. So yeah, she's fine. Looking forward to getting out and having a nice meal or something, I think.
Yeah, which is obviously now a doable thing, isn't it? It's just a case of booking up and
I think we said we're not going to go out until it's kind of like, a little bit more safer. So but we will enjoy it when we do go.
I think you've only got to leave your name and address and
But I think
everything
you
else
can
with
also
them
be
Yeah.
you can be a bit creative, right? You can get the old candles off of Amazon, and you can set up for a sort of a romantic evening at home, and then get a
Oh, yeah, we
really
have our date
nice
nights,
take
yeah.
in. Get it delivered, put it on plates.
Actually,
Fantastic.
our wedding anniversary was last month, so we did
What did you go for? Deliveroo or Just Eat, or what did you go for?
I think it was Deliveroo.
Oh.
Yeah, classy. Oh, you're a classy man, Carl. I mean,
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
She-
I just didn't have you down as an Uber Eats type of guy. I thought he's probably going to go Deliveroo, middle of the road.
I'll tell you what, though,
doesn't
Guy,
want to over impress too much.
Listen,
but make the point that I'm a keeper. Yeah.
Listen, joking aside, it's expensive, is it not, to order in food from these places?
Is it really? I've no idea. Never have, so I've no idea.
It is. Look, Lee, when you have kids, right, eventually you'll find, we need to do this every now and again. It's blooming expensive. And do you know what you ought to do?
Do they
Carl?
charge a lot more than the actual? Do they charge a lot more than the actual food normally be if you went to get it yourself? Then do they?
I think what you have is a minimum. You have a minimum order value, right?
Right. Okay.
So, so if I was to order something myself, and as you know, Lee, I am a simple man when it comes to culinary needs.
Hey, Des, to be perfectly honest, if anybody ever wants to go out on a dinner date and just wants a cheap date, just see if Des is available. Honestly,
that's right.
You'll have a great night.
Hold the butter. So if you just want to order something in yourself because your better half, for example, let's say she's gone to another country and she's there with the kids, with the grandparents now, because we're past phase one.
When you say another country, you mean Wales, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's I see it as another country. And, if you want to decide some evening, right, I'm going to order something in, and that something comes to a grand total of, let's say about £4. Well, you're going to have to pay an £11 delivery charge. Go figure. That's a lot of
really what they charge. Really?
That's a lot of minerals to order alongside to get your value back. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. But listen, Carl, listen, if you do organise that romantic night, right, you get the Just Eat or the whatever in, just make sure you send the kids off to Lee and Jen for the night so that you can have a properly romantic evening. And that will be a bit of a win-win because you won't have the kids, which would be a nice thing for you and Emma for the night, and Lee will learn a thing or two about having kids. So it'll be a good win-win.
Yeah, kids and dogs.
I'll tell you, it wouldn't take long, and he would be lying in the park with the rest of us with a bottle of screw top wine, just sort of whiling away a couple of hours.
I don't think you'd get that one past Jen, to be honest. I don't think. Yeah. Somehow. Be all right. We'll just send him straight down to Bournemouth Beach and just tell him to behave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? God, Brian's got all a bit, Larry. He's straight all in under the gun with his 2.4 million. As if he says, "I'm enough of this nonsense. I'm going to."
The boys picked me, so I've got to show a bit of manliness here.
Brian's a good player. Certainly deep in tournaments, knows exactly what he's doing, knows where he's at pretty much most of the time.
Well, he's mixing it up with the chip leader here, Lee, and he's taking it nice and gently.
Well, yeah, he's the one that I think he has got to be careful against. I think the other two probably he can be a little bit more bullish in his play.
Did Brian win the high roller last weekend?
Yeah, I think it was last weekend. Yes, if it wasn't last weekend, it was the weekend before, but it's certainly it was the let's have a look. Well, actually, no. Do you know? Oh, this is where we go with time flying by. I think it was before that.
Really?
Yeah, but he has won it. Yeah. He won it when the week that Joe Chilmaid came second.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But it's been a few weeks since that. That's what's scary about this whole kind of lockdown thing is time seems to fly by. Yeah.
Who is Steve 40? Because he's quite persistent on this.
Who is C40? Listen, we only have about 40 minutes. We only have about 40 minutes left on the show, so we couldn't possibly answer that question.
Okay.
Steve was an APAT member. Steve is an APAT member. He played back in season 1, and when we were Stars, and he won an online event with us and stuff like that. I think he's and Steve will tell you the story himself. He comes from the P&L sort of that was the Poker Night Live generation of players and watchers and what have you, that TK would have been a small part of back then. He was a presenter on Poker Night Live. Casper Berry, that Steve mentions in the in the chat box was part of that group, and some of those guys went on to Sky Poker when Poker Night Live sort of fell away, and I think from Steve, he then took maybe a 10-year sabbatical, so he was away from poker, doing his work and what have you. And I think, like many players, once we went into the pandemic and we're all sort of working from home and stuff like that, thought, oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and play a bit of poker. And he came back to APAT. Absolutely delighted to see him back. And Steve's been a really, really interesting character over the last 13, 14 weeks. And I think he's positioned himself as a bit like the Phil Hellmuth of APAT. So,
that's a good description. I like that.
I think. Do you know what I mean?
That's
I think
that's a really good description. Actually, I like that a lot.
Lot of ego, but underneath it, probably a bit of a gentle giant. Good player, it's good results, but he's rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way because I think they're taking his positioning a little too seriously, perhaps. And of course, APAT with ego is about the wrongest way that you can get into the APAT community, right? We're not big fans of ego. So I think that's been a challenge for him, and he's had some difficulty with that, but he's come back, and he would like to appear on the show, and we'd quite like to have him on in reality, but he's just a little unpredictable. He might pull off some of that Phil Hellmuth stuff on us, and I'd go mad. Okay. And it would be messy. It would probably be messy.
Yeah, but would Phil Hellmuth want to tongue Lee Wiltshire? That's what I'm saying.
Well, fool.
Yeah.
How have we got back to this exactly?
Well, Lee is. If you want to pull that example, or all the way through, Lee is like our Norman Chad, right? So the question you should be asking is, would Phil Hellmuth want to tongue Norman Chad? And frankly, I might want to just, log in to watch that particular episode, see if it was a thing. So maybe we will get Steve on.
The ratings would go up, wouldn't they?
So that is Steve, and he's vociferous.
Wow, that's beautifully the Steve Forte story. I quite like that. That's nice. Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, having had 14 weeks of Steve in the chat box? Is that how you would see it, Lee?
I think that's a beautiful and very well put explanation.
Analysis, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't. Is it season 1? I didn't start playing APAT till season 3. Yeah.
When did you start playing, Carl? What season did you? What was your first season with APAT?
Do you know what? I'm trying to think. I think I first came with. Do you remember Alan Mower?
Yes. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
I started playing online, and actually Ian was one of the first people to kind of like talk to us when we were playing online. I don't know what poker skin we were playing on, and I think it was Ian who kind of like said, "Oh, you want to come to one of the live events?" So I think me and Alan came to, must have been a Luton event back in season 2 or 3 or 3 or 4, I reckon. So it was quite a long time.
I think it was before, because four we were with Betfair. I think you were here. I think you were playing before then, so it might have been season 3.
Blue
Square, yeah. Season 2 and season 3 we had Blue
Square.
Season
2 and 3,
no,
yeah,
I think
that'd
it
be
was
right.
The season after Blue Square.
Well, that would have been Betfair season 4.
Well, that would have been Betfair. Maybe it was Betfair.
Could have been.
Maybe
Betfair,
your
yeah.
first. Maybe you got drawn in by Maylise.
Yes,
that was the
Beautiful
golden.
Maylise, yeah.
That was a golden season for APAT. I have to say that was absolutely phenomenal. I think we outdid ourselves, Lee, on every front in season 4.
That was probably one of my favourite seasons.
Yeah.
And Southern European trip was absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
I remember, Ian. We did a great deal with Betfair, and they were going to be very, very supportive. And I remember, just sitting down and thinking, right, what can we do? Oh, okay, we can do this, and we can do that, and let's do that as well. And while we're at it, we'll do this too. It was just like a blank sheet of paper, and then they bought drinks for everyone at the first event. It was absolutely fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
They were absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely hammered for no money at all. It was fantastic.
It was Joe Legg. Joe Legg was the head of marketing at Betfair at that time that we did the deal with, and they were great guys, Matt Molam, and both Joe and Matt have gone on to do fantastic things. I think they're both with big operators now, doing other things on poker, and they were great lads. Great, yeah, it was a great season.
So they had Ian at free drinks. That was it. He was hooked.
Yeah.
Oh, I won that online thing, that Betfair thing, where you final tabled at London Betfair Live.
Yes,
Richard-
at
yeah,
the
Richard
at the
Baker
old
turned up
Fox.
and
At the old Fox. Was that the Fox Club?
Yeah, the Fox Poker Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Chris
remember that.
Chris North.
Yeah.
Chris North.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Chris
I
North.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, happy
So what's
days.
been your Ian? What's
every-
been your favourite APAT stop over the years?
Vegas.
Yeah. Would be
Right, yeah,
Vegas.
well,
would be it. Yeah.
Take Vegas aside. I suppose Austria, Vienna was good for me. I enjoyed that. Really good. But the Manchester ones were good. They've all been good. Let's face it. There's always a story to tell at each APAT we go to.
I remember the.
What about you, Carl?
That's what I ask. Which is your favourite child, really, isn't it? But I think.
Yeah, but we know,
Yeah.
Carl, we know you've got a favourite, really. So yes.
I think,
Oh, that's Emma again. Emma again. Carl, don't answer that question.
Dust Till Dawn. Dust Till Dawn stops or Aspers for the world, championships. I think you can beat that. Yeah, I did enjoy.
There's something about Dust Till Dawn, isn't it? It's just got this
Yeah.
aura about it, isn't it? I know it's always nice if you've also had some successes there, but I think just as the place as a whole, every time you just walk in there, it's just it just kind of oozes poker, doesn't it? It has that feel about
Well,
it.
that's it. Yeah, it's the Premier Cup, card. It's not a casino so much, is it? It's an actual card room. So
Yeah, and there really aren't many of those, are there?
That's it. Yeah, it's a card room. So,
And it's
I
sad
think
to
Rob
see.
does such a good job.
Yeah, and it's sad to see. I think in the UK where we're heading, obviously Genting have already kind of pretty much made their decision on where they're going with poker. It'll be interesting to see what Grosvenor decide to do coming out of this. But it could unfortunately mean less options for players, which is never going to be a good thing.
No, to say I think about Aspers though, are they continuing the?
I'd imagine
Poker-
Aspers London
yeah.
because that gets ridiculously good footfall.
Yeah, they
So
do eight, don't they? Yeah.
They've also got a pretty tidy
Yeah.
sponsorship or partnership there with 888.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
888 would not want to see that go down.
Yeah, and I don't see any reason why it would because, as I say, they've got a fairly sustainable situation there. But as with any of these things, a lot of it just comes down to finances. As a card room is not a cheap thing to run. Apart from the staffing costs of it, it obviously takes up a proportion of their floor space in a casino that's obviously looking to make money. So.
And on a personal note, obviously, DDT was won my first, and also
Yeah.
England.
Oh,
won,
the England win of
yes,
2014, 2013, I think it was.
It seems ages ago, don't it? But yeah, such good memories there with
Well, we have.
Asa, Steve, and Tony, and Stuart.
Yeah, we've discussed
And
it with
that's right.
quite a few of them, Carl. Tony when he was on, indeed Stuart. We've mentioned it to you before. That is still
think
the
we've
only
nearly,
England win at the Worlds, right?
I think
Yeah.
we've nearly had the full house of the team, and I'm hoping we will get the full house of the team.
I'd love to get. I'd love to get Steve on. I think that.
I think hopefully in the next couple of weeks
fantastic.
we're on a promise there, Des.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
If you
he's a
remember,
granddad
we're on a
I
promise.
I do
so.
indeed. Hey, we're on a few
Granddad
promises.
Steve,
I have
yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
And Steve
Granddad
had
Steve.
some good news. Granddaddy Steve. He looks very young to be a granddad, doesn't he? But I think he's hit 50.
Is he?
I
think he
so,
has.
yeah.
I think he has. He doesn't
Yeah.
look it to me, I have to say. He looks younger than that.
Thank you,
but,
Des.
I wouldn't like to say.
Tomo, you got to be what, 74? 75 maybe?
I'm not as old as. That's how old Kevin Hanlon is. What are you laughing for? That's true.
It's like pass the insult around.
Oh no, Kev, it's unbelievable. How old are you, Kevin?
Yeah.
72.
No, he is. Kev's a good age. A good age.
Yeah.
I have to say, we're all a good age. I think I've aged
Well,
about
if
10
we could
years
all-
in
if
the
we
last
could
10
all-
months.
If we could all keep up with the world of poker at 72 like Kev does, then
Yeah.
we'll all have a lot of fun for a good while to come. That's for sure.
But
Definitely,
Kev's got stuff going on outside of APAT, like pubs and stuff like that. He's a busy man.
He's a busy guy. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a cracking bloke. That's it.
Yeah, I think Kev is the sort of bloke who would give you his last tenner. You know, I think he would.
Oh, he
He
would.
carried
He
my
does
wheelchair
back.
up the front stairs. In truck.
Yeah, fair play.
See-
Fair
Yeah.
play.
You were probably in it as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing it. Yeah. Yeah, he's carried me up the front stairs. Made sure I got
Brilliant.
back to the hotel.
Yeah, no,
Brilliant
fair play. Top
But
guy.
of course, I mean, Kev's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. However, he's not as good as he could be
Oh,
Oh,
what's that mean, Lee?
because
yeah.
he's no longer in that top he's no longer in that poker squad's top tier. That 100% record.
Oh, we're not
There's
going to
only-
care. We're definitely not calling him out on that. No
There's
way.
only four of them left now.
I cannot
actually got a-
believe there's any of them.
I am
Kev is
actually-
he's in the chat box. He says he's 73 in August. Well, that is
I
amazing,
am
Kev.
gonna go and double check that I've not done a typo on one of Kev's results somewhere. In the
Well,
line. But
I can't
But
believe.
basically, my
can't
records
believe
say that there are only 4 that have got 100% record still, and I can't believe anyone's still got 100% record playing squads. To be honest, after 90, this is the 91st game tonight, but there are 4
Wow.
of them that have still done it, and they
Frank?
are Pete Wigglesworth, Frank, Pete Monroe, and Adelaide Bull,
Wow.
Steve Healy.
That's
So
amazing.
Impressive, yeah.
yeah, but Kev is one off, and I genuinely am now wondering. I'm now part of me's thinking maybe I've done a typo somewhere, and actually he has done all of them, and I've just missed something which didn't matter in the,
Who
in the
was it?
results somewhere.
Who was it that played through his anniversary? Remind me.
Frank.
Frank. It
That
was
was
Frank.
Yeah.
Frank.
That's
yeah.
right. Frank's much better half, much better half was sat opposite him as he plays. Sorry, love, I've just got to do this thing with the boys, right? I'll be back after that. You go up and warm the
Bernie's the
bed.
same.
Honestly,
I made a
Come on,
commitment. yeah. So
I'm on a run here. I'm on a run here, love.
We've lost our Greek friend,
Come on,
Spiridon's
Oh,
gone in
heads
3rd
up.
place, but he's had another good run.
Well, Daniel is in really good shape here, Lee.
Oh yeah, yes, you wouldn't.
Going to
You
be hard
wouldn't
to see
look anyone
Brian getting
past him,
back,
to
but
be
Brian's an
honest.
experienced player. He's patient, but I think he's going to be playing for all of his chips, right? Every other hand.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Brian will just pick his spot though, and
Don't-
then make
don't
his
steady
make
here.
his move with it. Yeah.
Lee, was the team event in Dust to Dawn, was that this current season?
It was indeed, yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, the current season was going to end with the Worlds in August, and then we were going to start again
Okay.
in September. But obviously, we're just in a little bit of a kind of a holding pattern at the moment on,
I
on what
suspect,
we're going to
Lee,
do. Yeah.
I mean, I suspect when we come back, touch wood sooner rather than later, but when we come back and we've got an all in and a call here, and it's an ace
Brian
against
needs
a
to-
9
needs-
effectively.
needs to avoid the,
There we go.
and he does. There was up and down straight drawers
Brian's
there
got a
for
double,
Daniel
and that's
as well.
a big double. He's in the chip lead.
Come
now.
on, Brian.
It's
Come on,
incredible.
Brian.
But
Sorry, Daniel.
I suspect when we come back, Lee, we probably come back with season 14, do we?
I think so. I think the way we're going now with it, I think that's
Makes
pretty
sense,
much
doesn't it?
going to be the case. We'll see out season 13 probably for this calendar year, with whatever we end up doing online. We may make a decision to do something at the very end of the year, sort of before Christmas, but it really depends what the feel is and where people are, and whether there's an appetite for it and the venues are set up. We've got the potential to do something, but I don't think we would commit to anything at the moment. It's interesting watching some of the tournaments starting, like over in Kings at the moment, and seeing what's going on there. And it's interesting seeing with Vegas back open as to what's going. Funny enough, Pete Wigglesworth messaged me earlier on. He was thinking about maybe taking a trip to Vegas, and what did I think? As they're all in. Nicole Bryan's got 9s against King Jack of Daniel,
Kings
and
landed.
the Kings are good. And I said to him there, I said over in Vegas, well, things are open, but I can't, not sure I'd be wanting to go to Vegas in the next couple of months. at the moment because there's not much tournament play. There's cash games, but you're still on a quarantine.
Oh, here we go
King
again.
9 versus H7. And Brian needs the King 9 to hold.
And it does.
And it does, yeah. So, yes, it's but obviously at the moment, if you go to the US is still in the red zone, isn't it, for 14-day quarantine for the UK. So even if you decided to take a bit of holiday and go over there, you've then got to come back and self-isolate for 14 days. Well, you know, it's not much of a holiday, is it, really, if you're doing that?
I agree.
It's okay if you've got nothing to do, I suppose. But, most people
Oh, so Kev's just said his laptop crashed on the Monday week, which is why he missed it.
Oh, lucky Kev.
Oh, I feel like I want to just give him his appearance money for that particular
Frank's
one.
back in, and he said, I had a great 47th anniversary playing the squads game. Oh, my Frank, how you've managed to get away with that one, I do not know. I do not know. In fact, can you tell us your secret? There's a few of us that need that book.
So Steve 40 says he's Pete Wigglesworth's boy. Well, crikey, it's all coming out tonight. Crikey, who knew?
Oh, I'm seeing that scene in What was it? Pulp Fiction. Zed's dead, baby. Yeah. Ooh. Steady.
Yeah, but would you guys want to be? I mean, I'd say it was an interesting chat with Pete. Actually, it's a. I mean, I wouldn't want to be heading to Vegas in the next couple of months. I don't think at the moment. No.
I think going on a plane would be suicidal. If anybody on there did have the symptoms, that'd spread it around the whole plane. You know, as I say, I think, you know...
It's funny, I was supposed to... Oh, sorry, Carl.
Carry on.
Well, I was going to say, I was supposed to have gone a couple of weeks ago, obviously, to Vegas, and got these airfares to come back, and they're saying, well, if we book, they're holding them back over till November, but we still don't know whether we're going to be allowed to travel to the US.
So what have they done then? They've not offered you a refund then, Ian? They basically just said we'll hang over for you to rebook. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been difficult. I had a tour because I was supposed to go to Benidorm in April, Cyprus in May, and then Vegas in June. But offered none of those. We, myself and Karen went to Portugal in March. Came back the 13th or the 21st. We came back, so it was just in a lockdown.
Yeah,
it was weird coming back with no.
So at the moment, because the flights, so your Vegas flights in particular, then at the moment, it's a case of they've cancelled what you were going to do, but they're not giving you a refund. They're saying you can rebook. That's what they're saying at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it basically.
Yeah, that's a bit off, isn't it? Because why would you? Yeah, you. I mean, I suppose if they were to carry them over to next year, you might say, okay, I'll do that. But it's going to be interesting to see what the cost of things are. Because obviously flights work on the basis that you know the bigger volumes, the lower the cost can be for them. But ultimately, if they're not getting those volumes, they're going to have to put their prices up. But as you say, Carl, do they need to then offer some sort of incentive to get people to even want to fly at the moment?
Yeah.
The reason they're holding these, they're saying they're going to hold until November, is because I don't think that they're envisaging that any flight ahead or that many are going to go ahead, and they're going to nick people the extra money because they are going to put an ad on if the flights are after November. So it's I suppose.
Well, I think you'll be. I guess, Ian, you'll be completely entitled to a full refund if basically they've cancelled the flight that you should have been on. I think you'll be covered for that. Ultimately, they don't want to give that at the moment, but ultimately that's what you'll be entitled to. And as long as the company's not gone bust, which I'm kind of getting the feeling that the government aren't keen on allowing any of those big organisations to end up that way. Wow, what a massive hand there!
It's unbelievable. Brian is
Can't
crippled
believe
here.
He's
He's hit a jack and a 5.
Wow, he's going to get a double up.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. But
he's going to get a double up. But it was the hand before, which I think was full house over full house.
Wow,
was just horrendous, really.
Here we go again. This has been a great heads-up battle, Lee. And again, we've got a 9 against a 7, and he's hit the 9. He's going to double again.
Oh, actually, it wasn't full house for a full house. It was trips over a full house. So they both, eights. He had the 10-8 with the 8 on the turn and the river. And,
we're spinning again, and he needs a 6 or a 7 this time, and he hits the 7.
And he's hit again, but the jack comes on the turn, and that's going to be that. So Daniel Bushin,
lucky Brian.
Yeah, Daniel Bushin wins the wins tonight, $150. Well played to Brian Harland. He finishes in second place. We'll get the results in and then update. But obviously, we already confirmed earlier on where we were at with all of this. So well played to everybody. Daniel's from Germany, by the way, should have mentioned.
Yeah, well, nice result, Daniel. If this is your first APAT, we hope you had fun, and we hope to see you back again. What another great effort by Brian. Yeah, great heads-up battle, I have to say. So listen, guys, I guess that's the end of tonight's action. There are a couple of things left for us to do. So first of all, to you both, thank you very much for spending your evening with us. It was most enjoyable, I have to say. Great fun, as we expected it to be. And to you guys out there, who've joined us, through the night, listened in, sort of added some chat, played the games, whatever you might have done. Thank you too for being part of our Sunday night. Lee and I are back next Saturday evening, if I'm not mistaken. Do we know guests, Lee? Is it worth saying, or do you want to hold on?
We'll confirm during the week.
We'll confirm during the week. So we will be back on Saturday night and Sunday night of next week. Remember, of course, there is a ton of poker between now and then. So, good luck with your squads next week, the championship events, etc. So I think that's a wrap from the four of us. So until we next catch you guys, we hope you have a great week. Okay, night-night, everyone.
Take care, guys. Take care.
Cheers. See you guys. Bye.
Take care.